Cedar dust had worked its way inside my shoes by the time I called Adam. I had my phone balanced on Daniel's red toolbox, speaker turned up over the little electric sander. "What time does the wedding welcome begin?" I asked. 6:30, Adam said. His voice had that stretch sound it got when he was reading something else while talking to me. "And where do you want my few words? Before Celia's father or after?" The sander whined down in my hand. For a moment, all I heard was Adam breathing and someone tapping a glass near him. "Mom, we don't need family history." I looked at the cedar arch leaning against the garage wall. 20 years earlier, Daniel and Adam had written their initials on the underside of its crossbeam, where nobody could see them unless they knew to look. "I'm sorry?" "We changed the schedule. Mr. Ward is welcoming everyone, then dinner starts." "You changed it when? Does it matter?" It mattered enough that he had waited until I asked. I rubbed my thumb over a split in the cedar. Celia wanted me to do it. "Well, now we both want things simpler. Both." That word arrived before the rest of his sentence and sat down between us. "What does family history have to do with simple?" He sighed. "You know how you get. Everything comes with a story. Dad built the arch because I almost dropped out of college. Grandma made the biscuits during the worst winter of her life. Uncle Ray once fixed a sink and somehow it becomes a 40-minute account of loyalty and loss. Your uncle has never fixed a sink. That isn't the point." "No, but it's an important correction. Usually Adam would laugh when I did that. This time he didn't." "I don't want the weekend to get heavy," he said. "Can you please just let it be happy?" A thin curl of cedar hung from the crossbeam. I pulled it loose and watched it fall onto Daniel's toolbox. "Of course," I said. "I wouldn't want to bring down the mood." "Mom," I said, "of course." He let out another breath. "Okay, good. Listen, before I forget, the inn needs the final count for the Sunday breakfast, and Aunt Pauline changed her mind again about staying over. Can you call her? She listens to you." There it was. The part of the family he still needed. 4 months earlier, Adam had carried 2 bottles of champagne into my kitchen and announced that he and Celia were engaged before I could get the roast out of the oven. He hadn't planned to tell us that way. He had planned something tasteful involving glasses and a short speech, but June spotted the ring while Celia was helping me drain potatoes. "Oh, for God's sake," my daughter said. "Either you're engaged or you mugged a very small duchess." Celia looked at Adam. Adam looked at the ceiling. Then Celia laughed and held out her hand. I dropped the oven mitt. It landed in gravy. That was how our family learned things, not with music swelling in the background, but with somebody ruining a perfectly good sauce. Adam hugged me while June opened the champagne with such force the cork struck the light fixture. Celia cried when I kissed her cheek. I cried harder, which made Adam hand me a dish towel because all the napkins were under the roast pan and none of us could find them. Daniel had been gone 8 years by then. Joy still had a way of looking for him when it entered the room. My eyes went to the empty chair near the window, and Adam saw me do it. "Don't," he said softly. I didn't say anything. "You were about to." I was about to tell Celia she has excellent taste. "In jewelry or men?" Celia asked. "Let's start with jewelry." She laughed again, and Adam relaxed. That was one of the things I liked about her. She could tell when he was tightening up, but she didn't always soothe him. Sometimes she just opened a window and let a little air into the conversation. After dinner, they showed us photographs of the lakeside inn. It had gray shingles, wide porches, and the kind of lawn that looked as if each blade of grass had signed an agreement. The ceremony would be outside in October, weather permitting. Dinner would be in a room with a stone fireplace. 86 guests. "We're keeping it intimate," Adam said. June looked up from the guest list. "Is there another definition of intimate I don't know? Compared to Celia's cousins, this is practically an elopement." "My mother invited her dentist," Celia said. "Is he family?" He did her veneers. "Emotionally, yes. They wanted the wedding to feel personal." That was the word they kept using. Personal flowers, personal food, personal photographs, nothing generic, nothing that could belong to anybody else. I understood. I had spent 43 years making ordinary things belong to particular people. When June married, I had welcomed her former husband with the story of the chipped blue bowl my mother set out whenever a stranger ate with us. The marriage hadn't lasted, but the welcome had been sincere. When Daniel's brother Ray brought a serious girlfriend to Thanksgiving, I told her which chair was least likely to collapse. That counted as tenderness in Ray's branch of the family. Celia leaned toward me across the kitchen table. Adam says you do a family welcome. Adam was folding the inn brochure into smaller and smaller rectangles. It's not a ceremony, I said. Just a few words. I'd love that. You say that now. I mean it. Adam reached over and unfolded the brochure. Mom keeps them short. June made a noise into her wine glass. I can keep things short, I said. You once explained the history of a potato masher. It belonged to my mother. That was the history, June said. There was also a subplot. Celia smiled at me. I still want to hear it. Adam touched the back of her neck, affectionate and a little nervous. Then you'll hear it. I remembered that exact sentence while I stood in the garage months later with his voice coming through my phone. Then you'll hear it. At first, my part in the wedding was small. Celia asked for addresses because Adam's list had 3 people identified only by nicknames, one of them Tall Mike, who turned out to be 5'7". I found the correct addresses. Adam asked if I still had photographs from his college years. I told him I had photographs from every year, and several months he might prefer to deny. He came by one Saturday to look through them. We sat on my living room floor with 2 blue cookie tins between us. He rejected any picture in which his hair touched his collar. That eliminates 19 through 23, I told him. I looked homeless. You lived here. Exactly. He chose a photograph of himself and Daniel standing beside the cedar arch on the day they finished it. Adam was narrow as a fence post, wearing a faded green shirt and an expression that suggested smiling was a government requirement. Daniel had one hand on his shoulder. This one, Adam said. I watched his thumb move across his father's face. You want the story with it? I know the story. That wasn't what I asked. He put the photograph in the yes pile. We'll figure out captions later. The arch had originally stood over the side gate, though gate was a generous word for 2 hinges and a latch Daniel bought on clearance. Adam had come home from college angry, embarrassed, and ready to quit. He wouldn't say why. Daniel never forced a confession out of anybody if he could hand them a tool instead. They built the arch over 3 long days. By the 3rd evening, Adam admitted he had failed 2 classes and lost his campus job. Daniel didn't offer a speech. He showed him how to correct a crooked joint without throwing away the whole piece. That was the story. It was also, apparently, too heavy. The requests multiplied so gradually I didn't notice they had become a second job. Could I find Daniel's old hand plane for the memory table? Did I know the spice biscuit recipe? Could I call Ray and ask him to attend? Could I explain to Aunt Pauline that the inn's Lakeview rooms had stairs? And no, the wedding party could not rebuild the property before October? Ray was the hardest. He and Adam had barely spoken since Daniel's funeral. Grief had made both of them mean in precise, memorable ways. Ray accused Adam of staying away during Daniel's last months. Adam said Ray had spent his whole life disappearing whenever Daniel needed him and had no right to judge anybody. Neither statement was entirely false, which was why the argument lasted 8 years. When I called Ray, he said, Adam doesn't want me there. He put your name on the list. You put my name on the list. I supplied your address. You supplied my existence, that too. He was quiet. Come for me, I said. That's dirty. I'm getting older. I don't have time to fight clean. He agreed to attend the ceremony and dinner, but not the Sunday breakfast. I wrote that down on the yellow legal pad where I had started keeping wedding notes. By September, the pad held 6 pages of names, food restrictions, transportation problems, objects loaned, and promises made by people who had already forgotten making them. The cedar arch was the only thing I hesitated to lend. It had been stored in my garage since the side fence came down. The bottom ends were soft from weather and one joint had opened. Adam said he would repair it with me. Next weekend, he told me 3 weekends in a row. On the 4th, he arrived long enough to unload 2 boxes of empty glass jars that Celia's mother wanted washed for table flowers. "I'll be back Wednesday," he said. "You have dinner with the Wards Wednesday." He paused with one hand on his car door. "Thursday, then." "Adam, if you don't want to work on it, say so." "I want to. I'm just busy." "So am I." "I know." He kissed my cheek. "That's why you're the only person I trust with this stuff." It sounded loving at the time. I repaired the arch alone. I replaced the worst screws, filled the split near the crossbeam, and sanded the old finish until my shoulders ached. That afternoon, 3 weeks before the wedding, I set Daniel's toolbox beneath it and called Adam to ask about the welcome schedule. After he told me they didn't need family history, I stayed in the garage with the silent phone in my hand. Then it buzzed. Adam had sent me a message as though the previous conversation had already been wiped clean. "Please call Aunt Pauline tonight. Also need you at Inn by noon Friday for boxes. Don't forget breakfast count." Under his message sat one from Celia, sent the night before. "I found the little blue bowl in the photo you gave us. Will you tell me about it when you do the welcome?" I read both messages twice. Then I turned the phone face down on Daniel's toolbox and looked at the half-finished arch, trying to decide which of them had lied to me. I left both messages unanswered until the light in the garage turned yellow and thin. When I picked up the sander again, my hand slipped. The edge bit into the crossbeam and left a pale crescent in the wood. I shut the machine off before I did worse. "Wonderful," I told the arch. "Now you have a subplot." My phone buzzed again. This time it was Aunt Pauline. I let it go to voicemail. That sounds like nothing. People let calls go every day. They're driving, showering, watching television, or enjoying one of the naps they insist they never take. I had not ignored a family call in years. Even when I couldn't answer, I sent a message saying when I could. I believed uncertainty was a small cruelty, and families produced enough large ones without help. Pauline called a second time. I turned the phone off. Inside, I washed the dust from my arms and found cedar caught in the fine lines around my wrists. The kitchen still held the breakfast dishes. There was a grocery list under the sugar bowl, a clean stack of welcome basket labels beside the toaster, and 3 printed emails from Elaine Ward secured to the refrigerator with a magnet shaped like a lobster. Elaine had never met a detail she couldn't organize into a numbered list. She was not unkind. She simply approached hospitality as though somebody might audit it. Item 7 asked me to confirm who was taking the decorative boxes to the inn on Friday. My name was already typed beside it. I ate cheese over the sink and considered calling Celia. I could ask one clean question. "Did you decide you didn't want me to speak?" Instead, I carried the blue bowl from the china cabinet and set it on the table. It was not valuable. The glaze had worn away around one edge, and a crack ran from the base almost halfway up the side. My mother used it for potato salad, dinner rolls, peaches, mail, and once a baby bird my father found stunned beside the porch. The bird recovered. The bowl never did. Celia had seen it in a photograph from June's wedding. She had noticed it without being prompted. That mattered to me, although I was suddenly embarrassed by how much. I was still sitting there when June came through the back door carrying 6 empty glass jars in a cardboard wine box. "Your porch light is off," she said. "It's daylight. It's 7:30. Then it's ambitious daylight." She set the box on the counter. Adam called me. Of course he had. June and I looked alike around the eyes and nowhere else. I had spent my life wishing my hair would behave. June wore hers short enough that behavior was irrelevant. That evening she had on gray work pants, 1 silver earring, and the expression of a person arriving to inspect damage. What did he say? That you got upset about the speech. I didn't get upset. June glanced at the blue bowl, the cheese wrapper, and my untouched phone. Should I call an ambulance or would that be too dramatic? I'm not allowed to be dramatic. It makes happy occasions heavy. Oh, boy. She took 2 glasses from the cabinet, poured water into both, then drank from mine. June had been doing that since she could reach a counter. When she noticed, she pushed the other glass toward me without apology. What exactly happened? I told her. Not every thought, not the way the word both had bothered me, and not that I had stared at Daniel's initials until the letters blurred. I gave her the conversation as accurately as I could. June listened with her mouth pulled to one side. When I finished, she said, "That was a rotten way to tell you. A rotten way to tell me, or a rotten thing to do. Both can be true. You sound like a pamphlet, and you sound like you want me to go slap him with the family Bible. We don't own a family Bible. You know what I mean." I got up and wrapped the cheese. Celia asked me to do that welcome. Maybe she changed her mind. Then she could have told me. She's planning a wedding with 86 intimate friends and her mother's dentist. She probably thinks Adam handled it. I put the cheese in the refrigerator harder than necessary. June watched me. You asked what I thought. I did not. You told me the story in complete sentences. In this house, that counts as a sworn request. I almost smiled. It irritated me that she saw it. She reached for the yellow legal pad on the counter and flipped through the pages. What is all this? The things they've asked me to do? 6 pages? The first page is mostly addresses. The second page says, "Ask Ray not to mention funeral argument." How are you planning to enforce that? By sitting on him. She looked at the third page. You're coordinating breakfast? I was. June raised her eyes. Was? I took the pad from her and closed it. Adam said he doesn't want family history. He can hardly expect me to manage the family future. That sounded rehearsed. It came to me naturally. No, it didn't. You rehearse in the shower, she was right, but I didn't give her the satisfaction. June leaned back against the counter. Don't do something today that you'll have to spend the next 20 years explaining. What do you think I'm going to do? Set fire to the arch? I think you're going to do every single thing on that pad. Smile until your teeth crack and punish him with your silence. The accuracy of it landed like a slap delivered with a soft glove. I'm not punishing anyone. You're already imagining how guilty he'll feel when he sees how gracious you were. That's an ugly thing to say. It's an ugly habit. I looked toward the window. The garage light glowed beyond the darkening yard. June lowered her voice. Mom, he's wrong. But you make yourself necessary and then act surprised when people use you. I don't make myself necessary. You called 3 hotels because Pauline didn't like the pillows at the inn. She has trouble with her neck. She has trouble with any pillow she didn't buy in 1987. I was helping. I know. You're always helping. That's the problem. Only in this family could that be an accusation. June picked up the box of jars again. You want to be asked. You want to be thanked. But you don't wait for either one before taking over. So Adam did me a favor? No. Adam was cruel because he wanted a clean result without an uncomfortable conversation. He gets that from Dad. Your father could have an uncomfortable conversation. He could build a shed around one. That was also true. June carried the jars toward the back door, then stopped. For what it's worth, I think you should have been allowed to speak. Allowed. You know what I mean. Yes, I said. I usually do. After she left, I turned my phone on. Aunt Pauline had left 2 voicemails. Adam had left none. Celia's message still waited. I typed, Adam has changed the welcome schedule. Please ask him about it. I read the sentence until it began to look like something written by a lawyer in a television show. Then I deleted it. I wrote, the bowl belonged to my mother. I'll tell you about it another time. Celia responded almost immediately. Not at the wedding? Before I could answer, headlights crossed the front window. Adam came through the back door without knocking, still in his office clothes. His tie was stuffed into one coat pocket, and the top button of his shirt was open. He looked tired enough to make me feel sorry for him, which annoyed me further. Why is Celia asking me if something happened? He said. Hello to you, too. Mom. She asked about the bowl. And what did you say? That I'd tell her another time. He stared at me. You knew exactly how that would sound. I used 11 words. If they have hidden music, I missed it. He paced once across the kitchen, stepping around the blue bowl as though it were evidence. I told her you decided you'd rather relax and enjoy the wedding. The room seemed to settle around that sentence. You told Celia I canceled my own welcome? I said you didn't want the pressure. Before or after you told me we don't need family history, can we not turn every phrase into a court exhibit? I'm trying to find one true version. He rubbed his face. We discussed cutting down the speeches. She agreed there were too many. Did she agree to cut mine? She didn't object. Did she know? He looked toward the refrigerator. That was the answer. Adam, I knew she'd feel guilty. She likes you. If I told her I thought the family welcome was a bad idea, she would have kept it just to avoid hurting you. So you protected her by lying to both of us. I managed a detail. You managed me. He put both hands on the back of a chair. This is what I was trying to avoid. What exactly? This. He gestured between us. A whole emotional excavation over 5 minutes at a dinner. I sat down because standing made me want to point, and pointing had never improved anybody. What did you think I was going to say? I don't know. Yes, you do. He pulled out the chair across from me but didn't sit. You talk about Dad. You talk about the arch and how I came home ready to quit school. You'd make it about survival and sacrifice and how Celia is joining a family that came through hard things. That's not what I wrote. You wrote it? Of course I wrote it. He closed his eyes. It was 4 minutes, I said. I timed it. 3 minutes and 48 seconds if I don't wait for laughter. What laughter? There was a line about Ray. Mom, I don't want Celia's relatives hearing that I failed classes and lost a job. I wasn't going to mention your classes. But there would be something. There's always something underneath the story that I'm supposed to understand. I thought that was why people told stories. No. Sometimes people tell them because they like hearing themselves explain everybody else. I felt the words before I understood them. Adam finally sat. Every good thing comes with a reminder of what it cost you. Every object has a lesson. Every meal has somebody's sacrifice baked into it. I looked at the bowl between us. That is not fair. It isn't completely unfair. That was worse. I stood and carried the bowl back to the china cabinet. My hands were steady until I set it down. Then the rim clicked against the shelf. Behind me, Adam said, I love that you remember things. I do. But I don't want my wedding to feel like an invoice. I shut the cabinet door. Was repairing the arch an invoice? No, calling Ray. I didn't ask you to get in the middle of that. You put him on the list because you knew I would. Adam's face tightened. What do you want me to say? The truth would be refreshing. Fine, I want you there. I want the arch there. I want Dad's picture there. I want you to have a good time and not work the entire weekend. Why is that insulting? Because you still expect me at the inn Friday at noon for boxes. You expect me to manage breakfast, transportation, Pauline, Ray, and whatever else is on that pad. You don't want me not to work. You want me to work quietly. That's not what I meant. It's what you arranged. I brought the yellow pad from the counter and placed it in front of him. I will finish the arch because I promised it and because it matters to me. I will attend the wedding. I will be pleasant to every person there, including the dentist. He gave a helpless little laugh, but I kept going. I won't coordinate the breakfast. I won't carry boxes. I won't make your seating problems disappear or keep Ray from saying whatever Ray decides to say. I'll come as your mother. He stared at the pad. The wedding is in 3 weeks. Yes. You can't quit 3 weeks before the wedding. I wasn't hired, Adam. I can't quit. So this is punishment. No. This is me believing what you said. The history isn't needed. Neither is the unpaid staff attached to it. He pushed the pad away. June put this in your head. June told me not to do anything I'd regret. She must be thrilled you ignored her. He stood, took his keys from his pocket, and moved toward the door. Take the pad, I said. I don't want your pad. It has the breakfast count. You said you didn't finish it. I said I wasn't finishing it. There are 43 confirmed. He stopped, came back, and snatched it off the table. At the door, he turned. For 1 second, he looked less angry than frightened. Are you really going to make me explain this to everybody? No, I said. Just tell them the same thing you told Celia. Apparently, I decided I wanted to relax. He left without answering. 10 minutes later, Elaine Ward's name lit up my phone. I let it ring until voicemail picked up. Then I walked back to the garage, turned on the overhead light, and looked at the pale gouge my hand had made in the cedar. I could have sanded it out. Instead, I ran my fingers over it once and left it there. Elaine's voicemail was 46 seconds long and contained 3 versions of the phrase, "just checking in." She wanted to confirm that I had the breakfast count, the transportation sheet, and the boxes of table cards. She also wanted to know whether Pauline had decided about the stairs. Her tone was bright, measured, and already suspicious that somebody had moved a chair in a room she had not yet entered. I called her after coffee. "Mara," she said. "Thank goodness. I thought maybe my message didn't go through. It went through." "Oh? Well, good." I pictured her at the desk in her sunroom, wedding binder open, 2 pens aligned beside it. Elaine had once told me she kept separate lists for things she had done and things she had delegated, because delegation was not completion. I admired and feared her in equal amounts. "Adam has the breakfast count now," I said. 43 confirmed, 9 undecided. I gave him my notes. A pause. "All of them?" "Yes." "Did he ask you to send them to him?" "No." The brightness left her voice by half a shade. "I see. I won't be coordinating the weekend anymore." Oh, it was a small word, but Elaine managed to fit 3 seating charts and a weather contingency inside it. "The table cards are finished," I continued. "The blank ones and markers are in the second box. I'll send those with June. Is there something wrong?" "Plans changed." "What plans?" "My role." Elaine waited. She had good manners, but curiosity was pushing hard against them. "I was under the impression you volunteered," she said. "So was I." Another pause. "Well, of course we want you to enjoy yourself. That seems to be the official position." "I'm sorry?" "Nothing." She shuffled papers. "Celia will be disappointed. She talks about you constantly. The tenderness in that caught me off guard." "I love Celia," I said. "I know you do." Neither of us said Adam's name. Elaine recovered quickly. She would handle the breakfast replies, and her sister would oversee the boxes at the inn. "Could I forward Pauline's number?" "I can," I said. "And perhaps just tell Pauline I'll be calling. She can be a little Pauline-shaped." Elaine laughed despite herself. "I was going to say particular. You haven't met her in a hotel lobby. I'll brace myself." Before we hung up, she said, "Mara, if this is a family disagreement, I don't want to step into it. That makes 2 of us." I packed the wedding materials that afternoon. The printed guest addresses went into a blue folder. The welcome basket labels went into a plastic sleeve so a spilled drink wouldn't ruin them. I added the biscuit recipe, both in my handwriting and typed, because Elaine had asked for a clean copy and my handwriting became philosophical after the second page. The glass jars June had delivered were still cloudy from old labels. I soaked them in the sink and scraped at the glue with the side of a spoon. It was exactly the sort of task I had said I was no longer doing. I stopped at jar number 4. There were 32. I left the rest in the box. That should not have felt rebellious. It felt rude, unfinished, and itchy. I kept seeing Elaine opening the box and discovering cloudy glass. Then I imagined Adam looking at them and saying, "Mom would have known how to get that off. He did know how to get it off. He had watched me do 3. I put the spoon down. June arrived at 6, saw the jars, and said, "You didn't finish these." "No, I can see that." I was hoping there was a more interesting explanation. Hot water, dish soap, and patience. I meant why. "I'm not handling the boxes. You're sending them with me. I'm giving you the completed materials and the instructions. What you do with them is between you and your brother." June crouched beside the box. "There's glue all over these. Then perhaps your brother should meet glue." "Mom." Everyone should meet glue once. It builds character. She stood and folded her arms. Adam asked me to take Friday off. Did you say yes? No, I have a quarterly review at 10 and a dentist appointment at 2. Is the dentist family? Her mouth twitched. She refused to let it become a smile. He says you committed to being at the inn at noon. I said I would be there before he told me my presence was a historical burden. That isn't what he said. You weren't there. I'm trying not to be. I carried the blue folder to the box. A wise goal. June followed me into the dining room. You know what bothers me? You always say family should tell the truth directly, but you didn't tell Celia why you stepped back. It's Adam's truth to tell. No, it isn't. It happened to you. I'm not dragging her into a fight 3 weeks before her wedding. She's already in it. It's her wedding. Then Adam can explain his decision. June put both palms on the table. You know he won't. Yes. So you're waiting for him to lie badly enough that it proves your point. I looked at her. Do you want me to call Celia and say her future husband lied to her? I want you to stop pretending silence is neutral. The refrigerator motor kicked on. A car passed outside with its music loud enough to rattle the window over the sink. Your brother told me not to make the wedding heavy, I said. I am honoring his request. No, you're sharpening it. Take the boxes, June. She stared at me for another moment, then picked up the first one. I meant what I said yesterday, she told me. He was cruel. But you're enjoying being right just a little. That may be the cruelest thing anyone has said to me this week, and the competition is excellent. I'm sorry. No, you aren't. I'm sorry it hurt. That's not the same thing. I know. She took the first box to her car and returned for the jars. Before she lifted them, she looked inside. You really stopped at 4? Yes. That must have nearly killed you. It was touch and go. This time we both smiled, though hers faded first. After she left, I noticed the blue folder was still on the dining table. I had forgotten to put it in the box. I called June, but she didn't answer. I sent a message telling her I would bring it to her the next day. Adam called before she replied. Why did you dump everything on June? I didn't. I gave her the things I had completed. She says half the jars are dirty. They're clean, they're sticky. You know what I mean. I often do. Can you please stop saying that? Can you please stop calling work invisible until it isn't done? He went quiet. I could hear traffic around him and the hollow clicking of his turn signal. He was probably driving home from work, using the time between one responsibility and another to make me resume mine. Elaine called me, he said. She called me too. She thinks there's some major family crisis. I told her plans changed. She asked if Celia and I did something to offend you. And what did you say? That you were tired and needed to step back. You're becoming very attached to that story. It is true, you are tired. Being tired didn't cancel my welcome. God, we're back to the speech. We never left it. You just keep setting luggage in front of it. A horn sounded near him. He swore under his breath. I'm trying to get married, he said. I have work, vendor calls, a seating chart that changes every 12 minutes, and 2 families who apparently cannot transport themselves 40 miles without a military operation. I don't have time for this. You had time to tell Celia I made your decision. I told you why. Yes. You were afraid she'd be kind to me. That isn't fair. Neither is using her kindness as a reason to deceive her. He was silent long enough that I thought the call had dropped. Then he said, just bring the folder to my office tomorrow. I'll give it to June. She shouldn't be in the middle. I agree. You're the one putting her there. I asked you to take the pad. You refused until you needed the breakfast count. I was angry. So was I. Only one of us still left with the information. He ended the call. My brother-in-law, Ray, called 20 minutes later. I considered putting the phone in a drawer. What did you do? He asked when I answered. Hello, Ray. Adam called and asked if I'm coming to the Sunday breakfast. You said you weren't. I know what I said. He said there's confusion because you backed out of organizing things. I didn't back out. I stopped. What's the difference? One has reverse lights. Ray made a disgusted sound. I knew I shouldn't come. Then don't. You spent 2 months telling me it mattered. It does matter. Apparently not enough for you to swallow whatever Adam said. I sat at the kitchen table. The clean blue bowl showed behind the glass cabinet door. This is not about you and Adam. Everything with you is about everybody. That's your whole system. My system. You keep the wheels on so none of us has to admit we don't like riding together. Charming. Accurate. June has started a club. I don't need June to tell me how you operate. You were happy to benefit from it. So was Adam. That doesn't make this noble. I closed my eyes. What do you want, Ray? I want to know whether I'm walking into a wedding where you're making a stand and I'm one of the props. I am not making a stand. You got 6 pages of evidence saying otherwise. News traveled fast when everyone believed I was the road. Come to the wedding because Adam is your nephew, I said, or stay home because the two of you are stubborn men who prefer old injuries to new discomfort. But stop making your choice my assignment. Ray breathed into the phone. Then, quieter, he said, He told me you were the one who wanted me there. I am. He didn't say he did. That hurt in a place I had not prepared. Ask him, I said. You know I won't. Then perhaps silence runs in the family. I hung up before he could answer. Sunday dinner had been on my calendar whether anyone came or not. I roasted a chicken out of habit, made too many potatoes, and set 4 places before removing 2. June sent a message saying she was buried in wedding errands. Adam sent nothing. At 6:15, Celia knocked on my front door. She stood there holding the forgotten blue folder against her chest and a grocery store bouquet, wrapped in clear plastic. I intercepted June, she said. She looked like she might bite somebody, so I took this. You didn't need to bring flowers. I know. That was why I let her in. She placed the bouquet in the blue bowl before I could stop her. Water darkened the crack, but none leaked through. Celia stepped back to admire it. See? Still useful. The word caught between us, innocent on her side. She turned to me. Mara, did you really decide you don't want to do the welcome? Through the window behind her, I saw Adam's car pull up to the curb. He stayed behind the wheel, watching the house. I looked from him to the woman he was about to marry. No, I said. I didn't decide that. Celia didn't move. Outside, Adam turned off the engine. He sat behind the wheel another few seconds, then opened the car door. He told me you wanted to relax, she said. I know. He said public speaking made you nervous. Only when I'm naked. Her eyebrows lifted. That was a joke, I said. I've never spoken naked, I assumed. Good. The front door opened. Adam called my name before stepping into the dining room. He stopped when he saw us standing beside the table, the flowers leaning crookedly from the blue bowl. Celia looked at him. You said she decided. Adam closed the door behind him. Can we discuss this at home? We are discussing it now. Celia, that tone is not helping you. I liked her for that. I also wished she would leave because it was easier to be angry with Adam when I didn't have to watch the damage spread across her face. He put his keys on the table. I said Mara shouldn't have to worry about a speech. No, Celia said. You said she didn't want to give one. I was trying to keep this from becoming a whole situation. It was already a situation. You just gave everyone different information. Adam looked at me. Did you ask her to come here? She came to bring the folder. And flowers, Celia said. The flowers were my idea. You can indict the folder if you want. He rubbed the back of his neck. I didn't lie about the schedule. We agreed to reduce speeches. We agreed my father didn't need 12 minutes and a projector. Same conversation. Not the same decision. Adam turned toward the window. In the glass, his reflection stood between Celia's and mine. This is exactly why I handled it, he said. Nobody can make a simple choice without 3 conversations and a hearing. Celia's mouth tightened. You handled me too. I knew you'd feel guilty. So? So you would have told Mom to speak even if you didn't want another speech. I did want her to speak. He looked at her then. Finally. She went on. I wanted a welcome from both families. We talked about that at Mara's house. You said it was fine. Months ago. What changed? Adam's eyes moved to the blue folder, the bowl, anywhere but either of us. I thought about what it would actually be, he said. You could have asked me what I planned to say, I told him. He gave me a tired look. Would you have changed it if I didn't like it? Yes. The answer came so quickly that he seemed surprised. I was surprised too. Within reason, I added. There it is. Oh, don't be childish. I wouldn't welcome your wife by telling strangers you failed chemistry. It was accounting. I wasn't going to mention that either. Celia pulled out a chair and sat. What were you going to say? I looked at Adam. Don't look at me, he said. Apparently, my opinion is the only one nobody needed. Your opinion canceled it. Mom. Celia held up one hand. Please. Can I hear what you wrote? The pages were in the drawer beside my stove, under a collection of rubber bands and takeout menus. I could have retrieved them in less than 10 seconds. Instead, I sat across from her. No. Adam laughed once, without humor. Of course. Celia ignored him. Why not? Because this isn't an audition. If Adam doesn't want me to welcome you into his family, I won't stand up because you made him tolerate it. That's not what I'm asking. It would become that. You're deciding for me now. There was no accusation in her voice, which made it harder to defend myself. I suppose I am, I said. Adam leaned against the wall. So even if we put it back, you won't do it. Would you want me to? He opened his mouth, then closed it. Celia watched him. The roast chicken on the counter had gone from dinner to evidence of another evening nobody was having. Fat had cooled in the bottom of the pan. I could smell rosemary in the wet stems of Celia's flowers. She turned back to me. I need to say something you may not like. That seems to be the evening's theme. I understand why Adam didn't want stories about a hard time in his life told to my family. I wasn't going to tell them. I believe you, but I understand why he worried. Adam looked at her, grateful and cautious. Celia continued, he thinks your stories make him sound like someone who was always being saved. I never said that. You don't have to say it exactly. That sounded so much like June that I wondered if my family had been holding meetings. Celia folded her hands on the table. Her ring caught the light. When we first met, she said, Adam told me he worked his way through college and figured everything out on his own. Then I came here and found out his father helped him appeal his financial aid. You covered his rent for 2 months and June drove him to 3 job interviews because his car had no brakes. The brakes worked, Adam said. They just made a noise. The noise was screaming, I said. Celia almost smiled. He wasn't ashamed that you helped him. He was ashamed that he needed it. Adam's face reddened. Could we not analyze me like I left the room? You tried to arrange the room so nobody could, she said. For the first time that night, I felt sympathy for him stronger than anger. He stood there between the 2 women who knew him best, hearing himself explained from both sides. Daniel would have escaped to the garage. Adam had inherited that instinct, but his garage was 40 minutes away. I said, I should not have told your stories without asking what was private. He looked at me. That doesn't make what you did right, I added. There it is again. Yes, 2 things can be true. June has a pamphlet. Celia lowered her head, and a short laugh escaped her. Adam did not laugh, but some of the fight went out of his shoulders. I'm sorry I said we didn't need family history, he said. That was a bad way to put it. It was a very clear way to put it. I was frustrated. You were honest. No, I was angry. They overlap. He came to the table and took the chair beside Celia. She did not move away, but she did not touch him either. I want you at the wedding, he said. I'm coming. I want you to be part of it. I'll be in the family photographs. You know that isn't what I mean. Then what do you mean? He looked down at his keys. Celia answered for him. He wants everything to feel normal again. Adam glanced at her. Is that unreasonable? Right now? She asked. A little. They left together 20 minutes later. Celia hugged me at the door. Adam did not. He picked up the blue folder and carried it under one arm. From the porch, I watched them have a low, sharp conversation beside the car. Celia got into the passenger seat. Adam stood with his hand on the roof, looking down the street as if another vehicle might arrive and take him somewhere easier. When they drove away, I found the pages of my welcome in the kitchen drawer. I read them once. There was no mention of Adam's failed classes, the lost job, or the appeal Daniel helped him file. I had written about the blue bowl and how my mother believed a guest should be served first, before they had time to offer labor in exchange for belonging. I had written that our family was not elegant, but we knew how to make room. At the bottom, I had added a sentence in pen. Celia, you do not have to earn your place by making Adam happy every day. Some days he is determined not to be. I folded the pages and put them back in the drawer. Elaine collected the boxes 2 days later. She arrived in a tan station wagon with the back seats folded flat and a trunk already occupied by folded linens, a garment bag, and 3 cases of sparkling water. I was nearby, she said. She lived 35 minutes away. I helped her carry out the jars. When she looked inside, I waited for her to notice the glue. She lifted one, turned it in her hand, and said, "Hot water and oil. I use dish soap. Oil is faster." There was no criticism in her voice. That somehow made me feel worse. "I'm sorry you have to take over," I said. "I'm the mother of the bride. Taking over is the only exercise I get." We loaded the printed labels and table cards. I gave her the typed recipe. She checked everything against a list, then closed the trunk. Celia told me there was a misunderstanding about the welcome. Adam misunderstood what he was allowed to decide for other people. Elaine's lips pressed together. "I'm going to pretend you didn't say that." "Why?" "Because if I agree, I am criticizing my future son-in-law. If I disagree, I am criticizing you. I haven't had lunch. Wise." She opened the driver's door, then paused. "Frank is still giving his welcome." I assumed. "He offered to shorten it." "That's not necessary. He's relieved you said that." I smiled despite myself. "How long is it?" "Currently 9 minutes. Does he have a projector?" "He no longer has a projector." Elaine got into the car. Before closing the door, she said, "For what it's worth, I would have liked to hear yours. That seems to be the problem. Everyone wants to hear it except my son." She looked at me for a moment, then shut the door. The following Sunday, June came for dinner. She arrived alone, carrying bakery rolls as though proving she could contribute. "Adam isn't coming," she said. "I didn't invite him. You invite us every Sunday." "Not this one." She set the rolls down slowly. "Did you invite me?" "You're here. That is not an answer." "No," I said. "I made chicken. You usually appear when I make chicken." She stared at me, then laughed. "This family is going to collapse without assumptions. Maybe assumptions are the load-bearing walls." We ate at the kitchen table instead of the dining room. June told me the breakfast count was now 51 because Elaine had called everyone who hadn't replied and frightened answers out of them. Adam says you embarrassed him in front of Celia. He embarrassed himself in front of Celia. I supplied a room. He also says you refused to do the welcome after they offered to put it back. Celia offered. He sat there like a man being asked to donate a kidney. June tore a roll in half. Would you do it if he asked sincerely? The question stayed between us. "I don't know," I said. "That's almost healthy. Don't sound so amazed." My phone rang on the counter. Adam's name appeared. June and I looked at it. "Answer," she said. "You answer." He didn't call me. I let it ring twice more before picking up. Adam did not say hello. "I need to get the arch Saturday," he said. "Can you have it ready? It will be ready. Celia's coming to her dress fitting, so I'll come alone. All right? And the hand plane. Do you still have it?" "In Daniel's toolbox. I want it for the memory table. The blade is sharp. Tell whoever arranges the table not to leave it open. I know how it works." "Yes," I said. "You do." He was quiet. Then he asked, "Did you leave the initials?" I looked toward the garage. I left everything that was already there. He breathed out almost a sigh. Good. When he came Saturday, the arch stood finished in the driveway. I had applied 2 coats of oil, replaced the rotten feet, and left the crescent gouge pale against the darker cedar. Adam walked around it slowly. "You missed a spot," he said. "No, I didn't." He touched the gouge. "Dad would have sanded this out. Your father would have made it deeper trying." That earned the shadow of a smile. Together, we tilted the arch onto the rented trailer. It was heavier than either of us remembered. At the crossbeam, Adam crouched and ran his fingers over the initials underneath. D+A. He stayed there a moment longer than the work required. "I do know where I came from," he said. I tightened the strap on my side. "I know," I told him. "I just wish you didn't treat it like something that has to stay underneath." Adam stood up too fast and struck the back of his head on the crossbeam. The sound was solid enough to make me wince. He grabbed his head. "Damn it. Your father did that twice while building it. Please don't turn this into a story. It was already a story. You just added a chapter." He glared at me, but the glare broke. For a second, he was 19 again, embarrassed by pain and unwilling to admit it. I reached toward him. He stepped back before I could touch the spot. "I'm fine. I can see that." We tightened the last strap. The arch lay on its side, rising above the trailer rails like part of a small wooden chapel headed down the highway. "Where's the hand plane?" he asked. I retrieved it from Daniel's toolbox. The wooden handle was smooth and dark where his palm had worn it. Adam tested the blade with his thumb, properly, from the side. "You do remember," I said. "I told you I did." He wrapped it in an old dish towel I gave him. "Celia's upset," he said. "With me? With both of us." "That seems fair. She thinks I should put your welcome back. Do you?" He concentrated on folding the towel around the tool. "I think we should stop talking about it. That isn't the same thing. Nothing is ever the same thing with you." He tucked the hand plane under his arm. I apologized. "You apologized for the wording. I'm sorry I hurt you. Better, but I still don't want the speech." There it was, plain and almost brave. I nodded. "Then there won't be one." He looked suspicious of how easily I said it. "I don't want you thinking this means I'm ashamed of Dad," he said. "I think you're ashamed of needing people. That sounds like something from your speech. It isn't. The speech is nicer." He glanced toward the house. "Did you show it to Celia?" "No. Why not? Because then she would judge you against words you had never heard." He considered that, turning the wrapped hand plane in his hands. "You could have done the welcome without telling the college story," he said. "I wasn't going to tell it. I know that now. Would it have changed your mind?" He put the tool in his car instead of answering. Before he left, he handed me a cream envelope. My name was written on the front in Celia's handwriting. "She wants you at the fitting," he said, 2 o'clock. "Today?" "She thought a formal invitation might make you come." "Does she think I require stationery? Lately, nobody knows what you require." The fitting room was behind a bridal shop that smelled of steamed fabric and vanilla candles. Elaine sat on a velvet chair with her wedding binder balanced on her knees. Her sister occupied the other chair, so I stood until Elaine noticed and made her sister move a stack of garment bags. Celia emerged from behind a curtain wearing a white dress so simple that I knew it had cost a great deal of money. It skimmed her rather than sparkling at anyone. Her hair was pinned up carelessly, and she wore thick gray socks under the hem. "Well?" she asked. Elaine tilted her head. "The left side is pulling." "Mother, you asked." "I asked how I look. You look beautiful. The left side is also pulling." Celia turned to me. "Mara, you look like yourself." Her face softened. "Thank you. Your mother is right about the left side." Elaine pointed at me. "This is why we need her." The seamstress came in with pins held between her lips and made Celia stand on a low platform. While she worked, Elaine reviewed transportation arrangements with her sister. I heard my name once, followed by the phrase "no longer handling," spoken in the same tone someone might use for a canceled shuttle. Celia watched me in the mirror. Adam picked up the arch?" she asked. "He did. Was it awful?" "The arch is fine." "That wasn't what I meant." The seamstress knelt to pin the hem. Celia stared down at the top of her head. "Can I have 1 minute alone with Mara?" she asked. Elaine shut her binder. "Of course." The seamstress removed the pins from her mouth. "Don't move." "I won't." "You all say that." When the room cleared, Celia looked ridiculous and lovely, standing on a box with her arms slightly out. "I'm sorry," she said. "For what?" "For believing Adam without asking you. You should be able to believe the man you're marrying. That is not making me feel better. It wasn't meant to." She looked at herself in the mirror. "We had a fight after we left your house. I assumed you weren't discussing flowers beside the car. He thinks I took your side. I don't want you to take sides. There are sides whether you want them or not. That's what June said. Have the two of you started sharing notes?" "No. She frightens me. June is mostly posture. I heard her threaten a rental company with their own cancellation policy. That's her love language." Celia smiled, then grew serious again. "I told Adam the welcome should go back," she said. "He said if it did, everyone would know I forced him. He's right. So I'm supposed to let him have what he wants because he behaved badly enough to make fixing it embarrassing?" "I didn't say that." "What are you saying?" I studied her reflection. Without earrings, veil, or finished hair, she looked less like a bride than a woman trapped in a very expensive snowdrift. "I'm saying I won't stand up at your wedding and offer you a place in a family when my son is sitting there hoping I finish quickly." Her eyes shone, but she blinked it away. "I wanted you to welcome me." "I know. That matters too." "Yes. Then tell me now." The request startled me. "Here? Why not?" "Your mother is outside with a binder. She has enough material." I thought of the pages in my kitchen drawer and the line about Adam being determined not to be happy. I could have reconstructed every word. Instead, I stepped closer and adjusted the edge of Celia's sleeve where it had folded inward. "You are welcome with me," I said. "Whatever happens between you and Adam, you do not have to earn that by agreeing with me." Her face changed. "That isn't the speech," she said. "No, it's very short. I'm growing." She laughed, and the seamstress called through the door, "Whatever is happening in there, stop moving." Elaine brought me coffee afterward. She did not ask what we discussed. Celia insisted on helping me choose earrings for the wedding, though my dress was at home and she had only a photograph of it on my phone. "These," she said, holding up silver drops. "Too young. Jewelry doesn't have an age. Knees do. We're not putting them on your knees." Elaine looked over. "The pearls are safer." "I'm tired of safe," Celia said. She bought me the silver earrings before I could stop her. The inn appeared at the end of a long road lined with maples turning red. I arrived Friday at 4:30, the time listed for guests, with 1 suitcase and no boxes. Cars crowded the circular drive. A man in a dark vest directed traffic while 3 women argued over whether a garment bag had been left at a gas station. I drove past all of them and parked beside June's car. She was sitting behind the wheel, eating crackers from the sleeve. "You're here," she said when I opened her passenger door. "That's what parking usually indicates. I've been here since 1. "Why?" Adam called at 11:30 and said nobody knew where the place cards were. They were in the box marked table cards. "I know. I found them in the box marked table cards. Was there a parade?" "There should have been." I took a cracker. "How is everyone?" Elaine is reorganizing the dining room. Frank is practicing his welcome on a tree. Ray hasn't arrived. Pauline has changed rooms twice. Why? The first room was too far from the elevator. The second was too near the elevator. I ate another cracker. June narrowed her eyes. "Don't." "I'm not doing anything." "You're enjoying this." "I'm enjoying a cracker." She shoved the sleeve at me. "Take the whole thing and leave." In the lobby, Aunt Pauline stood beside 4 pieces of luggage and a potted fern. She wore a purple traveling suit and held her room key as if it had insulted her. "Mara," she said. "Thank God." I kissed her cheek. Hello, Pauline. They put me over the kitchen. I thought you wanted the second room. I did until I heard the fan. What fan? Exactly. It never stops. A young man behind the desk looked at me with desperate hope. I'm sure Adam can help you, I said. Pauline blinked. Adam? It's his wedding. You know he doesn't understand hotels. He's about to. I picked up my suitcase. Mara, wait. Where is the Sunday breakfast? I believe the terrace room. You believe? Yes. She stared after me as I crossed the lobby. I could feel the clerk trying not to smile. My room was on the 3rd floor, facing the lake. A printed itinerary lay on the bed beside a small welcome basket. Inside were 2 bottles of water, an apple, a paper bag of spice biscuits, and a card printed with Adam and Celia's names. The label on the biscuits read, "Our favorite autumn recipe." I opened the bag and took one. They had used too much nutmeg. The ceremony lawn was visible from my window. Daniel's arch stood at the far end, secured between 2 pots of white flowers. Even at a distance, I could see the pale crescent on the crossbeam. Someone knocked. Adam stood in the hall wearing a sweater I had given him the previous Christmas. You made it, he said. You sound surprised. I wasn't sure. I said I was coming. He leaned against the doorframe. Pauline just found me. I'm sure that was healing for both of you. She says you told her I'd fix her room. I said you could help. What am I supposed to do about a fan? Listen to it, apparently. He almost smiled, then his eyes went to the silver earrings on the dresser. Celia bought those. Yes, she's glad you came. What about you? I'm glad too. The answer sounded sincere, which made the space between us more painful, not less. He checked his watch. Welcome dinner starts in 40 minutes. Family photographs at 6:15. I'll be there. Frank speaks at 7. I know. Adam stayed in the doorway. If anything comes up, he said, June has the coordinator's number. I waited. He looked embarrassed. I thought you'd appreciate knowing I wasn't asking you. I do. He nodded and left. At 6:15, I stood beneath the arch beside my son, his future wife, June, Elaine, and Frank, while a photographer arranged us into the shape of a family. Adam placed one hand against my back. Closer, the photographer said. He drew me toward him. The camera clicked just as Frank called from the other side of the arch. All right, everyone, let's welcome Adam to the family. Frank wasn't making a speech yet. He was trying to gather his relatives for their photograph, which required the volume and patience of a man calling cattle through a broken gate. Ward's over here, he shouted. Everyone who knows why I'm yelling, over here. The photographer lowered her camera. We're still doing the groom's family. Frank pointed toward the inn. They've got drinks. If we lose them now, they'll never stand upright again. Adam's hand remained at my back. June leaned close to me and murmured, Do you feel welcomed? Deeply. The photographer moved Celia to the center and positioned Elaine beside her. Frank kept waving people onto the lawn until the 2 family groups merged. Ray was still missing. Pauline refused to stand on the grass because her heels sank into it, so the photographer moved all of us closer to the stone path. Mother of the groom next to the groom, she said. At least somebody had a clear schedule. Adam drew me closer again. His sweater smelled faintly of cedar oil from moving the arch. Celia slipped her arm through mine on the other side. There, the photographer said. That looks natural. It did not feel natural, but photographs have always been more interested in shape than truth. When we finished, I walked around the arch to inspect the straps. They were covered by flowers and the new feet sat firmly in the ground. Daniel would have approved of the construction and complained about the flower pots. A cream card rested on a small stand near the right post. Vintage family find, it read. Restored for Adam and Celia's day. No name, no date, no mention of Daniel. Adam came beside me. Looks good, doesn't it? He asked. The arch does. He followed my gaze to the card. Elaine made the signs. Did Elaine write the description? I don't know. You sent her the information. I sent her a photograph. I touched the edge of the card. She thinks you found this in a barn. Nobody thinks that. It says find. It's decoration, Mom. It was 3 days of your father's life. His shoulders tightened. Do we have to do this now? I'm reading a card. You're doing more than reading. Behind us, Frank called for Adam. The photographer wanted a picture of him with Celia's uncles. Adam stepped away. Please don't move the sign. I wasn't planning to. You have a look. What look? The one where you decide an object needs a witness. Before I could answer, he went to join the wards. I left the card where it was. Inside, the welcome dinner occupied a long room, with windows facing the water. Place cards stood between little jars of white flowers. Elaine had removed the old labels from every jar. I checked. June caught me checking. Oil, she said, I noticed. Don't take it personally. I've been defeated by salad dressing. I'll recover. My place was at the table nearest the fireplace with Pauline, June, 2 of Celia's aunts, and a couple named Michael and Michael. Elaine's seating chart identified them as Michael R. and Michael S. But the place cards both said Michael. Which of you is R? Pauline asked. I am, said the taller one. So you're S? Pauline told the other. No, I'm also R. We have the same last initial. That seems inconvenient. It has been, he said. I liked him immediately. Adam and Celia stood near the doors greeting guests. Every time someone approached, Adam's face opened into easy pleasure. He hugged old friends, shook hands with relatives, and accepted congratulations as if the past week had not happened. When he noticed me watching, he lifted his glass. I lifted mine back. Aunt Pauline leaned toward me. When are you speaking? I'm not. She blinked. You always speak. Not always. You spoke at June's wedding. June drank half her wine. That went well, I said. Pauline looked between us. Did Celia's mother stop you? No. Her father? No. Then why aren't you speaking? Because dinner will get cold. That has never stopped you before. One of Celia's aunts pretended to study the menu. Michael R. developed an urgent interest in his water glass. June said, Pauline, how is your room? Pauline turned toward her. There's a fan. The table spent the next several minutes learning about the fan. Ray arrived during the first course wearing a dark suit and no tie. He stood in the doorway as if checking for smoke before entering. Adam saw him, hesitated, and went over. They shook hands, not hugged, not smiled, but Adam touched Ray's elbow and pointed him toward his seat, which was more warmth than either of them had shown at Daniel's funeral. Ray sat at the next table beside a woman he had once accused of stealing a casserole dish from my house. The dish had later been found in my freezer. He looked at me across the gap between tables. You did this, he said. I did not. You know I don't like her. She doesn't like you either. That makes it balanced. The woman turned. I can hear you, Ray. Good, Darlene. Bring back the dish. It was in Mara's freezer. That's where you hid it. I faced forward. A hand touched my shoulder. Adam had come up behind me. Can you switch with Ray? He whispered. No. He stared as though he had asked whether I wanted coffee and I had threatened his life. Darlene and Ray can't sit together. They're adults. They're already arguing. They've been arguing for 12 years. Dinner won't make it contagious. Mom, please, ask Elaine. She has the seating chart. I'm asking you because... He stopped. Because what? I said. His hand dropped from my shoulder. Never mind. He went to Ray, crouched beside him, and spoke quietly. Ray looked at me, then back at Adam. After a minute, Adam exchanged Ray's place card with one at the far end of the room and walked him there himself. June watched the entire thing. What? I asked. Nothing. Your face is loud. He solved it. Yes. He didn't die. The evening is young. She smiled into her wine. The spice biscuits appeared between courses in small paper sleeves. Frank bit into one and said they reminded him of something his mother used to make. Elaine said they were one of Adam and Celia's favorites. Adam had eaten those biscuits every October of his life. Celia first tasted them in my kitchen 2 years earlier and asked to take 6 home. I didn't correct Elaine. That restraint gave me no pleasure. I wanted to say my mother's name. I wanted to tell the table that she rolled the dough with a wine bottle after her rolling pin split, and the ridges became part of the recipe because we liked how they held sugar. It was not a story of tragedy or sacrifice. It was a story about a woman refusing to waste dough. Instead, I ate the biscuit. There was still too much nutmeg. Frank stood after dinner with a folded sheet of paper in one hand. Elaine tapped her glass. Conversations softened around the room. "I've been instructed to keep this under 9 minutes," Frank began. 8, Elaine said. "Negotiations continue." Everyone laughed. Frank was good at speaking. He did not rush, perform grief, or try to sound wiser than he was. He told a story about Celia taking apart the family toaster when she was 23 because it burned one side of the bread. "I fixed it," Celia called. "You bought a new one and put the old one back together badly. It stopped burning the bread. It stopped making toast." Frank smiled at her. "That's our Celia. If something isn't working, she'll take it apart. Whether you should let her is a separate question." He spoke about her stubbornness, her loyalty, and the way she made room for people without pretending they were easier than they were. Then he turned to Adam. "You understand steadiness," he said. "That's one reason we knew you were right for her." Adam looked down. Frank raised his glass. "We are proud to welcome you into our family. Not as a guest. Not as an addition we have to make space for. You are one of us now." The room lifted its glasses. I did too. Adam crossed to Frank and embraced him. Elaine joined them. Celia stood between her parents and my son while people applauded. June's fingers brushed mine under the table. I pulled my hand away to reach for my glass. Adam took the microphone from Frank. "I wasn't planning to say anything," he said, "which is probably why my speech will meet the time limit." Another laugh. He thanked Elaine for making the weekend beautiful, and Frank for welcoming him from the first dinner they shared. He thanked Celia's aunts for traveling, his friends for showing up, and everyone in the room for celebrating with them. Then he looked toward our table. For half a second I thought he would say my name. "To family," he said instead, "the one we're born into and the one we choose." He lifted his glass. Everyone drank. June whispered, "That was a strange place to stop." I set my glass down carefully. It was his speech. Music began after dessert. People moved toward the bar and the porch. Frank came to our table and kissed my cheek. "I'm sorry we didn't hear from you," he said. "There have been enough speeches. Elaine says mine was 8 minutes and 40 seconds. She timed you. She had witnesses." He wandered off, looking pleased. Celia approached before I could leave the table. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine." She gave me the same inspection June had in my kitchen. "I wish he had thanked you," she said. "He thanked family. That isn't what I meant." "I know." Across the room, Adam was talking to Ray. Their bodies were stiff, but neither was walking away. "Go," I told Celia. "Your guests are waiting. You're my guest, too." The sentence was meant kindly. It still placed me exactly where I was. She squeezed my hand and went to join Adam. I carried my coffee onto the porch. The lake was black beyond the railing with a broken stripe of moonlight across it. Voices drifted through the open doors behind me. Ray came outside a few minutes later and stood at the other end of the railing. "He called me himself," he said. "Who?" "Adam. Wednesday night. Said he hoped I'd come." "That's good. He also said I was a pain in the ass." "That's honest." Ray looked through the window at Adam and Celia. "Daniel would have liked her." "Yes." "He would have hated that sign on the arch." "Yes." "Want me to accidentally fall on it?" "No. I could make it convincing. You'd injure your hip. I'd injure it for Daniel." I laughed before I could help it. Ray shifted closer. "Adam should have thanked you. He didn't owe me a public thank you. You taught him to say thank you when somebody passes the salt. Publicly? If there are witnesses." I looked at the lake. He was happy. That isn't an answer. It's the one I have. A crash sounded inside, followed by applause. Someone had dropped a tray and turned it into a joke. Ray went back in. I stayed outside until the coffee cooled. When I finally returned, the room had thinned. Adam stood beside the memory table, searching through a box. "What's missing?" I asked. He looked up, startled. "The hand plane. The blade's open, and the coordinator moved it somewhere safe. I warned you." I told her. She forgot. He searched under the tablecloth. I saw the tool on a high shelf behind the bar. I could have pointed immediately. Instead, I watched him check the box twice. Then I said, "Behind the bartender." Adam retrieved it and closed the blade. He held the plane in both hands, thumb resting in the worn hollow Daniel's palm had made. "Thanks," he said. "You're welcome." He started to turn away. "Adam." He looked back. "You don't have to thank me in front of a room." His expression closed. "I know," he said. That wasn't permission to pretend I wasn't in it. For once, he had no quick answer. He placed the hand plane carefully on the table, closed and harmless, then walked away, without looking at me again. At 7 the next morning, Aunt Pauline knocked on my door wearing a silk robe, full makeup, and the expression of a woman reporting structural failure. "The coffee downstairs is terrible," she said. I opened the door wider. "Good morning. It tastes like a burned fence. I have a machine in the room." "I know. Yours is making noise. That's what machines do." She came in without waiting and inspected the little coffee maker as if I had personally installed it wrong. While it sputtered, she told me the kitchen fan had stopped at 2 in the morning and begun again at 5. "So it does stop," I said. "That is not the comfort you think it is." She accepted a paper cup of coffee, added 3 packets of sugar, and sat by the window. From my room, we could see the ceremony lawn. 2 workers were wiping dew from the chairs. Daniel's arch stood against the pale lake, its cedar darkened by the morning damp. "Pretty," Pauline said. "Daniel built it." "I know." The simple answer surprised me. She sipped her coffee. He and Adam made it when Adam came home from college with that ridiculous hair. His hair wasn't ridiculous. It covered his eyes. He walked into a mailbox. He was reading. He was walking. I smiled. Pauline looked toward the lawn. Why did the card call it a family find? Apparently, the whole story was too long. That one took me 12 seconds. She did not ask about the welcome again. By 10, the inn had become a machine assembled from nervous adults. Doors opened and closed along the hall. Garment bags traveled in both directions. Elaine moved through the lobby carrying her binder and one shoe that belonged to Celia. Frank had lost his reading glasses while wearing them. June found me near the elevator. "Do you have a sewing kit?" she asked. "In my suitcase." Adam lost a button. "Which button?" "The important kind." "On his shirt?" "No, on his toaster." "Yes, his shirt." I gave her the kit. She took it, then hesitated. "You could bring it." "I could. He asked me to ask you. Then you've completed the assignment." June frowned. "You're taking this very literally. He was very clear. I meant about coming as his mother. Mothers sew buttons. His mother supplied the needle. His sister can discover thread. I don't sew. Today is full of growth." She started toward the stairs, turned back and said, "If he bleeds, I'm blaming you. He's putting on a button, not removing an appendix." 20 minutes later, Adam sent me a photograph of the repaired shirt. The button was crooked. "June did it," he wrote. I replied, "I can tell." He sent back a word I had taught him not to use. The ceremony began under a sky too blue for October. I sat in the front row beside June. Ray was behind us, wearing the tie I suspected Pauline had forced on him. On the other side of the aisle, Elaine gripped Frank's hand so tightly his knuckles had gone white. Adam stood under the arch with the pale gouge above his right shoulder. His button was visibly crooked. When he saw me, he touched it and shook his head. I covered my mouth to hide a smile. Then Celia appeared at the far end of the lawn, and every small thing disappeared. She walked with Frank, but not behind him. Her dress moved softly over the grass, the left side no longer pulling. When she reached the arch, she hugged her father before taking Adam's hands. Daniel should have been beside me. The thought came without speech, history, or lesson. It was simply a fact my body knew. I placed my hand on the empty space between June and me. She saw. Her fingers closed around mine. The ceremony was short. Adam's voice broke during his vows, which would have embarrassed him if anyone mentioned it. Celia promised to tell him when he was being impossible and to listen when he managed to admit he was afraid. He laughed, but I watched the meaning reach him. When they kissed, everyone stood. The cedar arch held. Photographs took nearly an hour. The photographer moved us through combinations, couple with wards, couple with prices, siblings, parents, friends. Ray tried to leave twice and was captured both times by Elaine. When it was my turn with Adam and Celia, Adam put one arm around each of us. Mother of the groom closer, the photographer said. I'm going to end up inside his jacket, I told her. Perfect. Hold that smile. Adam laughed. The camera caught us looking happy because, in that second, we were. As soon as the photograph was done, a woman wearing a headset hurried toward us. Adam, the florist, needs approval on the dining room arrangement. He glanced at me automatically. I looked at Celia. Celia looked at him. I'll come, he said. They followed the woman toward the inn. Adam glanced back once, not angry exactly, but aware of what had just happened. At the reception, my seat was at the family table near the dance floor. There was nothing insulting about it. My name appeared in careful script. A small arrangement of white flowers stood in front of me. Anyone looking from across the room would have seen the groom's mother exactly where she belonged. That was the clever thing about being made peripheral. Sometimes your chair remained in the front. Adam and Celia entered to music and applause. Frank toasted them. June gave a short speech about Adam's terrible first apartment and wisely omitted the part about who paid the deposit. Ray did not speak. Neither did I. Dinner arrived. Wine was poured. Adam crossed the room twice to kiss my cheek when a camera was near. The third time, no camera was present, and he kissed me anyway. Having a good time? He asked. Yes. Really? The food is good. That isn't what I asked. Then ask a smaller question. Before he could answer, the woman with the headset touched his elbow and whispered something about the shuttle list. He closed his eyes. June has it. June says Pauline changed her departure time. Across the table, Pauline said, I'm sitting right here. Adam looked at me. I ate a piece of asparagus. Mara? The coordinator asked. Adam has the yellow pad. He pushed a hand through his hair. The pad doesn't have the changes. Then you'll need a pen. Pauline announced that she was not riding in a vehicle with Ray because he objected to air conditioning. Ray, from the next table, objected to that description of his objection. Adam left with the coordinator. Pauline leaned toward me. You could have told them I'm leaving at 10. You told me 10:30. I changed my mind. Then you did the one part only you could do. She studied my face. This is about the speech. This is about the shuttle. You always did hold a grudge neatly. I learned from watching you. She sat back, almost pleased. The first dance began. Adam held Celia carefully, his face softer than it had been in weeks. Watching him, I could still see the man I had raised. Not the boy underneath, as he would have accused me of saying, the man. Difficult, frightened, loving, vain, generous, and determined to be considered finished. I wanted him to be happy. I also wanted him to notice what his happiness required from other people. Both desires lived in me without canceling each other. Halfway through the reception, Ray and Darlene began their casserole dish argument near the bar. This time it expanded to include Daniel's funeral, a folding chair Ray claimed Darlene had hidden, and a remark made during a Thanksgiving nobody could date. The coordinator found me near the coffee station. Could you help settle something? She asked. No. She blinked. Adam said you know both parties. I know them well enough not to interfere. Ray's voice rose behind her. Darlene shouted, Ask Mara. I lifted my coffee. Mara has no comment. June appeared and took the coordinator by the arm. I'll handle it, she said. You don't have to, I told her. I know. She looked tired and irritated, but there was something else in her face. Choice, perhaps. She was stepping in because she had decided to, not because I had placed the job in her hands before she knew it existed. She separated Ray and Darlene by telling each of them the other had gone outside. It worked for 11 minutes. Then one of the table card boxes disappeared. It had been moved under the cake table to clear space for the band. No disaster resulted, but 4 adults searched the dining room as if the missing box contained a transplant organ. Adam found me near the kitchen door. Did you see where they put the extra place cards? No, and you were standing near the table. I was talking to Frank. He stared at me. Sweat darkened the collar of his shirt. The breakfast room has the wrong count. Pauline has changed the shuttle, and Ray is threatening to leave. Ray often threatens to leave. It helps him feel wanted. This is funny to you? No. You're standing here watching everything go wrong. The wedding is not going wrong. You got married. People ate dinner. There's a dance floor full of adults pretending they still have knees. You know what I mean? I do. He looked toward the kitchen. Staff passed behind the swinging door carrying trays of champagne. You could help, he said. I could. Then why won't you? Because you asked me not to bring the part of myself that made the work mean something. Because you wanted my hands without my voice. Because I had spent 39 years making sure he never stood in a doorway, looking as overwhelmed as he looked now. I said only, I came to be your mother. His face tightened. You asked me not to bring where you came from, I continued. The errands were part of that too. So you are punishing me. No, I am letting the day belong to you. I didn't ask for this. You asked for something simpler. This is what simple looks like when other people stop absorbing the complications. The kitchen door swung open. A server squeezed between us carrying empty glasses. Adam stepped aside. I hope proving your point was worth it, he said. That isn't what I hoped for. What did you hope for? I looked at him, at the crooked button June had sewn and the cedar dust still caught in one seam of his jacket. I hoped you would miss me before you needed something. He flinched. Someone called his name from the dining room. He turned away. I stayed through the cake. Adam and Celia fed each other small pieces without smearing frosting on anyone. Celia danced with Frank. Adam danced with Elaine, then June. He did not ask me. At 10, I found Celia beside the gift table and hugged her. You're leaving? She asked. I planned to. Did something happen? Only your wedding. She held me tighter. Thank you for coming. I wouldn't have missed it. That was true. It hurt that she needed to ask. Outside, the air had turned cold. I walked toward my car carrying my silver shoes in one hand. From the inn's porch, Adam said, Mom. I stopped. He stood under the lights with his tie loosened. Music and laughter poured through the doors behind him. For a moment, I thought he might come down the steps. He didn't. Drive safe, he called. You too, I said, though he wasn't going anywhere. Then I got into my car and left him standing there. The road from the inn curved along the lake for 6 miles before reaching the highway. In daylight, it had looked picturesque. At night, it looked like a series of opportunities to drive into water. I kept both hands on the wheel. My phone rang in my purse. I did not reach for it. A few minutes later, it rang again. Then it buzzed twice with messages. At the first gas station, I pulled beneath the bright canopy and checked. June had called. Pauline had written, Where are you? Driver says my name isn't on 10 o'clock list. The message had arrived at 10:06. I typed, Tell Adam. Then I saw it was already 10:40 and deleted the words. Celia had sent a photograph of the cake cutting. She and Adam were looking at each other, laughing, the knife between their hands. Thank you for being there, she wrote. I answered, You were beautiful. Be happy. I did not add anything about bowls, histories, or the work of staying that way. At home, the bouquet Celia had brought was dropping petals onto the dining table. The blue bowl had held the water without leaking, though a dark line showed inside the crack. I emptied it into the sink and laid the flowers on the counter. They were not dead, exactly. They had reached the stage where deciding whether to keep them became more work than enjoying them. I threw them away. The next morning, I woke at 6:30 with the certainty that I had forgotten something. For several seconds, I could see the inn's terrace room as clearly as if I were standing there. Coffee urns, serving spoons, folded napkins, Pauline checking the eggs for Pepper. Then I remembered none of it belonged to me. I made one piece of toast. At 8:15, Elaine sent a message saying breakfast was underway and everything was lovely. The punctuation was aggressive. At 9, June called. Pauline missed the first shuttle, she said. Did she make the second? Yes, then she has lived to complain. She says nobody told her the time changed. She changed it. I know. You sound angry. I slept 4 hours. That would do it. June exhaled hard. You could at least sound sorry. I'm sorry you slept 4 hours. For God's sake, Mom. I carried my coffee to the window. Rain tapped against the glass. What do you want me to say? That leaving at 10 made a mess. I said I was leaving at 10. You always say you're leaving. Then you stay until the last person has a ride and somebody has turned off the coffee. That was the old arrangement. There was no arrangement, exactly. She was quiet. Behind her, I heard dishes, voices, and Frank asking somebody where to put a box. Adam's furious, she said. Adam was married when I left. You know that isn't all a wedding is. Yes, that was my mistake. Don't do that. Do what? Turn everything into a sentence that sounds good enough to end the argument. I looked at the rain. I'm tired, she said. I have to help load the decorations. You don't have to. Somebody does. That isn't the same thing. Today it is. She hung up. I spent the morning cleaning a house that was already clean. I washed the guest towels no guest had used. I put the silver earrings in the small drawer with Daniel's cufflinks and found one of his old collar stays lying across the bottom. At noon, I took the pages of my welcome from the kitchen drawer. The words embarrassed me now, not because they were sentimental, but because I could hear what Adam heard beneath them. The blue bowl was not merely a bowl, it was evidence. My mother's habit of serving strangers first was not simply a kindness. It became a standard everyone at the table might fail. I crossed out 3 sentences. Then I was angry that I had crossed them out and wrote them back from memory. The speech went into the drawer again. Sunday dinner came at 6, whether anyone was invited or not. My hands reached automatically for the roasting pan before I stopped them. I made scrambled eggs instead. At 6:10, a car slowed in front of the house. I looked up, but it continued down the street. No one called. The silence felt self-inflicted because it was. That did not make it painless. The hand plane returned on Wednesday in a shopping bag June left on my porch. She did not knock. Under the tool was a folded card from Elaine, thanking me for the recipe and the arch. She had written, "It made the ceremony feel rooted." I read the sentence several times. Then I carried the hand plane to the garage and returned it to Daniel's red toolbox. A clean rectangle showed where it had been missing. The empty space had collected no dust. The arch did not come back. Adam had asked before the wedding if he could keep it for a while. I had said yes without asking why. Now its absence filled the garage wall. I could see the lighter marks where it had rested behind the rake and hedge clippers. I wondered whether he had brought it home or left it at the inn for someone else to handle. I did not ask. 9 days passed before June came inside my house. She arrived on a Tuesday carrying my glass casserole dish. It was not the one Ray and Darlene argued about, though she felt the need to establish that immediately. "Different dish," she said, placing it on the counter. "I can see that." Just making sure. She opened the refrigerator, found half a lemon and a jar of mustard, then shut it. "Have you stopped eating?" "I had lunch." "What?" "Food." Strong answer. She sat at the kitchen table. Her face looked less tired, but not less irritated. "The photographs came back," she said. "Already?" "Samples. Celia sent me a link. Are they good? You look happy in them. I was happy in some of them. Adam looks happy too. He was. June traced one finger over a scratch on the table. He didn't dance with you? No. I asked why. I waited. He said you left before he got to it. He danced with you before I left. I told him that. What did he say? He said he lost track. That happens at weddings. Mom, what do you want from me? I want you to admit you were waiting for him to ask. Of course I was. And if he had, I would have danced with my son. The answer weakened something in her face. Then why didn't you ask him? She said. Because it was his wedding. That's convenient. Is it? You needed him to choose you without being reminded. Yes. June sat back. There it was. Not a polished sentence. Not a lesson. A need with no costume on it. She looked toward the empty dining room. Are you doing dinner Sunday? She asked. I don't know. You always do dinner Sunday. You told me I make myself necessary. I didn't tell you to vanish. I'm not vanishing. You haven't called me in 9 days. You left a tool on my porch. I was angry. So was I. We're very sophisticated, June said. I almost laughed. She rubbed both hands over her face. Adam thinks you ruined the end of the wedding. I left at the time I planned. He says you wanted him to feel abandoned. Did he feel abandoned? That isn't the point. It may be. June looked at me sharply. You really are enjoying that. No. I stood and carried the casserole dish to the cabinet. I wanted him to notice the difference between having me there and having me work. I won't pretend otherwise. And did he? He noticed the work. The cabinet door would not close because I had placed the dish crookedly. I took it out and tried again. June's voice softened. Maybe that's all he could notice that day. Then he picked an unfortunate day to erase everything else. She stood. Invite me Sunday. I shouldn't have to invite my own daughter. You just spent 2 weeks proving that assumptions are dangerous. I looked at her. Fine, I said, come Sunday. What time? You know what time. Mom, 6. Ask nicely. Don't push it. She smiled, but we did not hug when she left. Sunday dinner was June and me. I roasted a smaller chicken and still made too many potatoes. We discussed everything except Adam until coffee. Have you heard from him? I asked. No. That quickly? You asked. I answered. I took our cups to the sink. He's back at work, she added. Celia is too. They postponed their trip until winter. I didn't ask about a trip. You were going to. I was not. You rehearse in the shower. For the first time in 2 weeks, the kitchen sounded familiar. Adam remained silent. At first, I expected him to call every evening. Then I expected him on Sundays. After that, I stopped expecting and began listening, which was worse. I saw his name in ordinary places. A dental reminder arrived because my number was still listed as an old contact. His favorite coffee went on sale. I found one of his college sweatshirts in the hall closet and nearly sent him a photograph before deciding that would count as family history. The sweatshirt stayed where it was. Ray called once to say the wedding had been beautiful and stiff as a hotel pillow. He and Adam had not spoken since. Pauline sent me a long message about the second shuttle. Elaine mailed a printed photograph of all of us beneath the arch. In the picture, Adam's hand rested on my back. Celia held my arm. Frank was laughing at something outside the frame. We looked like a family no one needed to explain. I put the photograph in the kitchen drawer on top of the speech. 3 weeks after the wedding, someone knocked at my front door just after dark. Celia stood on the porch alone. She wore work clothes and carried no flowers, folders, or forgotten objects. Does Adam know you're here? I asked. No. I stepped back from the door. She stayed where she was. I'm going to tell him, she said. I'm done helping him make one truth for each room. That sounds exhausting, I said. It is. She came inside. I took her coat and hung it on the hook where Adam used to leave his backpack. Some habits lasted long enough to become architecture. Coffee? I asked. No, thank you. Tea? No. Water? Mara. I am trying to establish whether this is a beverage conversation. She looked almost amused. Water. I filled 2 glasses and set them on the kitchen table. Celia sat where Adam had sat the night he called my welcome and invoice. She noticed the photograph sticking out from beneath a grocery circular on the counter. "My mother sent you that one too?" "Yes." She ordered 40 copies. "Of the same photograph?" "She says buying more lowered the price. That's how they get you." Celia smiled, then wrapped both hands around her water. "I don't want you to think I came here to complain about Adam. You came here without telling him. I said I will tell him. That doesn't answer me." "No." She looked down at the table. "I came because he keeps describing what happened differently depending on who he's talking to. I know. To me, you decided not to speak. To June, you got offended and refused after he offered to put it back. To my parents, you were tired and wanted to enjoy yourself. To Ray, you stopped helping because Adam didn't thank you properly. Did Ray tell you that?" "Ray told my father. My father told my mother. My mother told me while pretending she wasn't telling me. Families are efficient. It isn't funny." "No." Celia drew one finger through the water ring beneath her glass. "After you left the reception, Adam said you wanted him to chase you. I wanted him to ask me to dance." She looked up. "That isn't what he said, I'm sure. He said you turned the entire weekend into a test he couldn't pass. He may believe that. Do you?" I sat across from her. I think I wanted him to notice when I stopped holding things together. I think part of me believed that if the table cards went missing or Pauline missed a shuttle, he would understand my value. That sounds like a test. Yes. She waited, perhaps expecting me to defend myself. "I didn't hide the answers," I said. "I told him what I would and would not do. But you knew the timing would hurt him. The timing was his wedding because that was when he made the decision." "I know." She pressed her lips together. "This is hard." "What is?" "Being angry with both of you. You are allowed." "He thinks I'm taking your side. You're not on my side." Her face changed. "I don't mean that the way it sounded," I said. "I mean this should not be you and me against him. It also can't be me helping him avoid you. No. He says every time he talks to you, you make him feel like a selfish person. Sometimes he is a selfish person. So are you." I leaned back. Celia's expression tightened. "I'm sorry. Don't apologize because my face changed. I didn't come here to insult you." "Then why did you come?" She took a breath. "Because on our wedding night, my husband spent 40 minutes listing everything that went wrong after you stepped back. The shuttle, the place cards, Ray, the table arrangement. He talked about you more than he talked about us." I looked away. "He was angry," she continued, "but underneath it, he was scared. He kept saying, 'She's never done this before.' Like you had broken a law of nature. I had not considered myself weather. You were weather to him. That may be the nicest terrible thing anyone has said about me. He counted on you without admitting he counted on you. Then you wanted the counting to prove he loved you." I stared at her. "You've been speaking to June. I told you she frightens me." "Someone should." Celia lifted her glass, then set it down without drinking. "I love him," she said. "I am not reconsidering my marriage because he lied about a speech. I didn't think you were. He thinks everyone does. Adam believes one mistake turns him back into every earlier version of himself." Her eyes narrowed slightly. That sounded like family history. It was one sentence. It was a good one. I got up and opened the refrigerator. There was half a pie from Sunday dinner. I put it on the table with 2 forks. I said I didn't want anything. You said you didn't want a beverage. This is why your children think food has terms attached. I nearly put the pie away. Celia touched my wrist. "I'm joking. I know, but I did not know. That was part of the problem. I had used food, stories, and usefulness as a language for so long that I could no longer tell when other people heard love and when they heard obligation. I sat again. Celia ate one bite from the edge. "Adam told me he asked you not to tell the college story," she said. "He did." "Was it in the speech?" "No." Did you tell him that? Several times. He believes you would have changed your mind once you were standing there. He believes I have no restraint. She glanced at the pie. 4 people asked me why I wasn't speaking, I said. I did not tell any of them. That took restraint. It took anger. They can look similar from far away. Celia looked toward the kitchen drawer. Is the speech still in there? How did you know? You looked at that drawer during the fitting. You noticed too much. I'm marrying into the right family. Apparently not. We have discontinued history. She waited. I did not retrieve the pages. Do you want to know what it said? I asked. Yes. Do you want to read it so you can report back to Adam that it was harmless? No. The answer came quickly. I want to read it because it was meant for me. I looked at her. That was different. I opened the drawer, lifted the photograph, and took out the folded pages. The crossed-out sentences showed through where I had written them again. Celia read slowly. She smiled at the line about the blue bowl. When she reached the added sentence about not earning her place by making Adam happy every day, she pressed her lips together. Then she laughed. He would have hated that line, she said. I considered removing it. You should have. I know. She folded the pages along the old crease. You were going to embarrass him a little, only with affection. He doesn't always experience affection as harmless. No. She handed the speech back. It's beautiful, she said, and he had the right not to want parts of it. The words stung, but not because they were wrong. He had the right to speak to me honestly, I said. Yes. Before I repaired the arch. Yes. Before I called Ray, labeled jars, found photographs, and organized his breakfast. Yes. He had the right to say, please don't tell a story about me in front of my wife's family. He did not have the right to use me until the only part left was the part he wanted hidden. Celia nodded. And I did not have the right, I continued, to make the whole family feel the absence of my labor so he would understand it. She tilted her head. Didn't you? Not entirely. What should you have done? I don't know yet. That answer seemed to satisfy her more than the others. She ate another bite of pie. Adam kept the arch, she said. I know, it's in our garage. Is it blocking the rake? We don't own a rake. Then you are not prepared for marriage. He goes out and looks at it. I set down my fork. He thinks I don't notice, she continued. He stands under it and runs his hand over the initials. Why are you telling me? Because you think he wanted to erase Daniel. I think he wanted Daniel without the part where Daniel mattered. Maybe. Or maybe he wanted one day when every good thing in his life wasn't connected to someone saving him. I looked at the pages on the table. My husband would hate how much we're analyzing him, Celia said. He isn't here. That has never stopped this family. She stayed another hour. We spoke about the wedding photographs, Elaine's campaign to get everyone to order prints, and the hotel's apology to Pauline about the fan. We did not solve Adam. At the door, Celia put on her coat. Are you going to tell him you came? I asked. Yes. Tonight? Yes. What will you say? That we talked. About what? The truth that stays true in every room. I touched her sleeve. Don't use me as evidence against him. I won't. And don't protect me either. She nodded. Can I come back? You don't have to ask. That sounds like an assumption. You have June's pamphlet. This time we hugged. Adam called at 11:20 that night. I was in bed reading. His name lit the room from my nightstand. Is Celia home? I asked when I answered. Yes. Good. Why would you ask that? She drove here after dark. I wanted to know she got back. He was quiet. What did you say to her? The truth. Your truth. No. The version with unflattering parts about me. That must have been brief. The words came fast. He regretted them before I answered. I could hear it in his breathing. You're angry, I said. She came home crying. She didn't cry here. That makes it better? No. What are you trying to do, Mom? Tonight I made coffee, served pie, and talked to your wife. She doesn't drink coffee at night. She had water. You know what I mean. Yes, I often do. He made an aggravated sound. I did not ask her to come, I said. I did not tell her to leave you, doubt you, punish you, or choose me. I told her you had a right to object to the speech. He said nothing. I also told her you lied. She knew that already. Yes. Another silence. Then he said, she wants me to apologize to you. Do you want to? I want this to be over. That is not the same thing. Does every apology have to pass an exam with you? No, but it should contain regret. I regret the entire thing. Which thing? All of it. That includes marrying Celia. So you may want to be specific. Jesus, Mom. Go to bed, Adam. He hung up. At 6 the following Sunday, June arrived with rolls. We had just sat down when headlights crossed the dining room wall. Adam's car stopped in front of the house. He came to the door alone, carrying nothing. When I opened it, he kept both hands in his coat pockets. Can we please move past this? He asked. Not hello, not I'm sorry. Just a request for the road to continue without requiring him to look at where we had stopped. I looked past him at June. She sat at the dining table with both hands wrapped around her water glass, trying to become part of the wallpaper. Should I go? She asked. Adam turned. I didn't know you were here. You didn't say hello to either of us, so the sample is incomplete. He stepped inside and shut the door. You can stay, I told June. That sounds less like permission than a threat. Adam removed his coat but kept it over one arm. I came to apologize. No, I said. You came to ask for the result of an apology. His jaw tightened. Can I finish? You haven't started. June got up. I am going to warm the rolls. They're already warm, I said. They're going to be extremely warm. She took the basket into the kitchen. Adam set his coat over the back of a chair. I'm sorry the wedding became such a mess between us, he said. The wedding was lovely. You know what I mean? Yes. I'm sorry I said we didn't need family history. I was stressed, and I said it badly. You said exactly what you meant. I meant I didn't want a speech. Then you should have said that before accepting all the work attached to it. I didn't know you believed they were attached. I stared at him. That came out wrong, he said. Did it? Yes. I knew you were helping. I appreciated it. You told no one I was helping. You called the arch a find, the biscuits your favorite recipe, and my work volunteering. When I stopped, you called it abandonment. I did not write that sign. You approved a whole weekend built from details you didn't want named. He sat down across from me. Why does everything need a name? So other people can pretend they made it. That isn't what I did. No? No. He leaned forward. The arch was there because I love it. Dad's hand plane was there because I wanted part of him in the room. The biscuits were there because they remind me of home. I didn't need a label explaining each one. People labeled them anyway. They just removed the people. You think everyone at that wedding needed a footnote? I think your father deserved his name. Adam looked toward the window. June returned with the rolls, now hot enough to steam through the cloth. Dinner, she announced. Neither of us moved. Great, she said. I'll eat alone and write a report. We sat. I had made pot roast, carrots, and mashed potatoes. Adam's plate was still in the cabinet because I had invited only June. I got it without comment. He watched me serve him. You don't have to do that, he said. Correct. That silenced him more effectively than anger. June passed the rolls. Adam took one and tore it open, releasing a cloud of heat. Did you bake these in a furnace? He asked. I panicked. For a few minutes, the only sounds were silverware and the small click of the radiator. Then Adam said, You left my wedding early to make a point. I left at 10, as planned. You stayed until midnight at June's. June looked up. Please don't use my failed marriage as supporting evidence. I'm not. You brought it into the room. It gets a chair now. Adam dropped his fork. Fine. Mom, you stayed late at every family event I can remember. Yes. So when you left, I knew why. What did you know? That you wanted me to notice. I did. His expression changed, as though he had expected me to deny it. I put down my fork. I wanted you to feel the work I usually did, I said. I wanted the missing cards and shuttle list to show you what you dismissed. That was not generous of me. June went still. I'm sorry you had to take on work you didn't choose, I told her. Thank you, she said quietly. I turned back to Adam. I'm sorry I hoped inconvenience would teach you something on your wedding day. His shoulders loosened. But I am not sorry I stopped. They tightened again. You can't apologize and then take it back, he said. I didn't. I'm responsible for wanting you to struggle. I'm not responsible for protecting you from every struggle. So what do you want from me? I want you to stop telling different stories until you find one where you did nothing wrong. He looked at June. Do you agree with her? She held up both hands. I am eating. June. No, you both keep inviting me to dinner and serving me as the witness. That is an excellent sentence, I said. Don't encourage me. Adam pushed his plate away. I already told Celia I lied. After she knew, I apologized to her. I'm not Celia, I'm here, aren't I? Yes, asking us to move past it. What would a good enough apology sound like? That's your question to answer. He laughed bitterly. Of course. Another test. No, I folded my napkin. A test has an answer I already know. I don't know what you regret. I regret hurting you. Why? Because you're my mother. That describes me. It doesn't describe what you did. He stood and paced to the kitchen doorway. I didn't want the wards hearing some story about me failing and coming home, he said. That story was not in the speech. I know. But it could have been. You could have changed your mind. You do that when you're speaking. You look at the room and decide what everyone needs to hear. That is true. June looked at me. I ignored her. Adam continued. I wanted one weekend where I wasn't the person who needed his parents, or his sister, or his mother's recipe, or some old piece of wood to explain why he mattered. The room went quiet. There was truth in that, but it had arrived carrying a weapon. I thought if Celia's family saw all of it, he said, they'd see me as someone still being held up. Did Celia ever make you feel that way? No. Did Elaine? No. Frank? No. Then you used me to hide from a judgment nobody had made. You would have made it. The words came out before he could stop them. June closed her eyes. I felt strangely calm. You think I see you as weak, I said. I think you see the time I was weak more clearly than anything I've done since. That hurt because I knew exactly which photograph he had chosen from the blue cookie tin. He had wanted the arch, his father's hand, and his own 19-year-old face. He had wanted them, but he had wanted to control what they meant. Maybe I have held your worst years too close, I said. Maybe I remind you of what I did because I'm afraid you'll forget I mattered. Adam's face shifted. That is mine to change, I continued. Your shame is yours. He sat again, but not at the table. He lowered himself onto the chair near the window. June said, Can we acknowledge this is the most honest dinner we have ever ruined? No one laughed. The pot roast cooled. After a while, Adam asked, Are Sunday dinners over? No, you didn't invite me. I invited June because we needed to talk. You and I needed to talk. And yet you waited 3 weeks because I was angry. So was I. He ran a hand over his face. Can we start again next Sunday? At whose house? He looked at me. Here. Why? Because this is where we have Sunday dinner. Perhaps that should change. What does dinner have to do with the wedding? Nothing. That's why we can change it without ruining anything. He stared at me as if I had proposed moving the kitchen to the roof. June reached for another roll. I can host once a month. You have 4 chairs, Adam said. I also have a floor. I'll host too. he said defensively. I waited. He noticed. Not next week, he added. Our dining table still has wedding gifts on it. Then clear it. He stood, put on his coat, and took the roll he had not eaten. At the door, I said, "Thank you for coming. That sounds like something you say to a guest. You arrived without calling." He opened the door. "I am sorry," he said without looking at me. "I just don't know how to say it so you'll believe me. That may be because you're still saying it to end the conversation." He left. June stayed to wash dishes. I dried, which was how we had worked together since she was tall enough to reach the sink. She did not offer an analysis until the last plate. "You were hard on him," she said. "Yes. He was honest about being ashamed. He was honest about being afraid of shame. Is there a difference?" "Unfortunately." She handed me a wet fork. "You could call him. So could he. We are making tremendous progress." The following Sunday, June hosted. She ordered takeout and served it in the containers because her 4 plates did not match, and she claimed the food might become confused. Adam did not come. Celia did. She told us openly that he knew where she was. The Sunday after that, I cooked for myself and read through dinner. It was peaceful for 20 minutes, then lonely for 40. I did not call anyone to fix it. Ray invited all of us to a sports bar the next week. Pauline refused because the chairs looked hard in the online photographs. June went. I went. Adam and Celia did not. Our family did not collapse. It loosened. Without the weekly meal holding everyone in place, Ray called Adam himself. June saw Celia for coffee without reporting every detail to me. Pauline found other people to manage her complaints. I had Thursday evenings free and discovered the library showed old movies in a room where nobody cared if I knew the history of the actors. Celia called occasionally. Adam did not. Then on a Wednesday afternoon, my phone buzzed with a group message from him. "Dinner at our place Sunday. 6, I'm cooking. Ray and Pauline are invited, so prepare yourselves." June immediately replied with 3 alarm symbols. Ray wrote, "Define cooking." Pauline asked what kind of chairs they had. I stared at the message before typing, "What should I bring?" Adam's answer appeared a minute later. "Yourself." That's the point. I bought a bottle of wine on the way to Adam's house. At the end of my street, I turned around, drove home, and left it on the kitchen counter. "Yourself," he had said. It was harder than it sounded. Celia opened their front door with a dish towel over one shoulder and a streak of flour across her forehead. "You came empty-handed," she said. I followed instructions. "I didn't think you could." Neither did I. Smoke drifted through the hallway. "Is something burning?" "No," she said. A smoke alarm began shrieking from the kitchen. Celia closed her eyes. That is expressing an opinion. We found Adam standing on a chair, waving a cutting board beneath the alarm. The oven door was open. Inside, a roasting pan held what appeared to be a dark brown helmet. "Don't say anything," he told me. "I just arrived. You're making a face." "This is my regular face." The chicken looked pale. "So, you put it under the broiler?" "For 2 minutes." Celia checked her watch. 7. It was not 7. The alarm stopped. Adam climbed down from the chair and opened a window. I stepped toward the oven. "No," he said. I was going to close the door. "I'll do it." He put on an oven mitt, removed the roasting pan, and set it on the stove. Smoke rose from the chicken in a determined ribbon. "It may be fine underneath," I said. "Is that advice? It's optimism. I don't trust your optimism. You're learning." Celia handed him a knife. He cut through the black skin and exposed meat that was, in fact, pale underneath. Ray arrived while Adam was trying to carve around both conditions. He walked into the kitchen, looked at the chicken, and said, "I see we're eating the arch." "Hello, Ray," Adam said. "Cedar has more moisture. You can leave. I brought beer. You can stay." June arrived with nothing and held up her empty hands for inspection. I also followed instructions. "You usually bring rolls," I said. "I am breaking a cycle." Pauline came last, carrying a small cushion. "What is that?" Celia asked. "Support. We have cushions." I looked at your chairs online. Adam took Pauline's coat, led her to the dining room, and waited while she tested 3 seats. He did not look at me. The dining table had been cleared of wedding gifts, though several unopened boxes were stacked against the wall. 6 mismatched place settings surrounded a bowl of salad and a dish of potatoes that looked better than the chicken. "Where did you get 6 plates?" June asked. "Celia's mother." "That explains why they match. They're a wedding gift. Then where did you get 6 chairs?" Adam pulled out Pauline's selected seat. "Some of us prepared for adulthood. You borrowed 2 from the neighbors. Preparation involves resources." We sat. Adam placed the chicken in the center of the table and stood behind his chair. "I had a whole thing planned," he said. "A funeral?" Ray asked. "A dinner. Same chicken." Adam pointed the carving fork at him. "I called you because I wanted you here." Ray looked down. The joke left the table. Adam continued. "If everyone can cut around the outside, the inside is probably safe." "Probably?" Pauline said. "We also have salad. I didn't miss a shuttle for salad. You missed the shuttle because you changed the time." Pauline stared at him. I held my breath. Then she said, "Your mother told you." "No." "June did, after you told her 6 times. June lifted her glass. "Accurate." Adam served the chicken himself. The underside was nearly raw, so he collected it again and put the pieces in a skillet. He did not ask me how long. He set a timer. We ate potatoes and salad while we waited. Ray told a story about a restaurant that had served him frozen meatloaf. Darlene had apparently been present, though he did not accuse her of freezing it. June described the wedding photos and claimed the photographer had captured Pauline smiling. "I had gas," Pauline said. "History will misunderstand you," I told her. Adam glanced at me, then at his plate. When the chicken finally returned, it was dry enough to erase the earlier danger. We ate it anyway. Halfway through dinner, Ray put down his fork. "I want to say something while there are witnesses." Pauline leaned toward June. "This is how lawsuits begin." Ray ignored her. "Adam called me last Tuesday," he said. We talked. Adam kept cutting his chicken. "About Daniel," Ray added. The table quieted. My hands stopped in my lap. Ray looked at me. "He told me to tell you it wasn't your business." Adam looked up. "That is not what I said. It was close. I said we didn't need Mom in the middle. She considers that her business." "I am sitting here," I said. "I know," Ray told me. "That's why I'm reporting." Adam rubbed his forehead. The point was, Ray and I talked directly. "For 43 minutes, Ray said. 15 of those were you looking for your phone while using it. I thought the sound was coming from the television." "What did you talk about?" I asked. Both men answered at once. "Nothing," Adam said. "His father," Ray said. They glared at each other. I picked up my fork. "Then it is not my business." Ray looked disappointed. The conversation moved on. After dinner, Adam collected the plates before I could stand. "You cooked," I said. "Someone else can clean. I'm hosting. That's not how hosting works. It is tonight." June carried glasses to the kitchen. Celia packed the remaining chicken into a container nobody was likely to open again. Ray and Pauline began arguing over whether he had parked too close to her car. Adam followed them outside with a flashlight. "He's trying," Celia said. "I know. He's been practicing the chicken for 2 weeks. That makes the result more concerning." She laughed and leaned against the counter. "He called my father for the recipe," she said. "Frank gave him this recipe?" "Frank grills." "That is not a defense. He also called June to apologize for the wedding errands." I looked toward the dining room where June was wiping the table. "She didn't tell me. I asked her not to. Why? Because I wanted to see if she could keep one thing from you." June called. "I can hear you. You lasted 9 days," Celia called back. "It was horrible." Adam came inside, rubbing his hands against the cold. "Pauline's car has 14 inches of clearance," he announced. Ray moved anyway. "Smart," I said. "He wants to know if you're doing dinner next Sunday." "Who?" "Ray." "What did you tell him?" "That he should ask you." I nodded. Adam looked almost offended by my approval. Pauline left first. Ray followed after taking 2 pieces of burned chicken for evidence. June put on her coat and kissed my cheek. "Are you leaving?" I asked. "I'm giving you 2 room. I don't need room. You have been demanding room for 2 months. That's different. Good night." Celia hugged me at the door. She and June walked out together, still discussing whether Elaine had intentionally bought Adam and Celia plates that could not go in the dishwasher. Adam remained by the open door. "Celia left too," I said. "She's riding with June to get coffee. At 9 at night? They're adults." "I know." "You said it like a question." "I'm adjusting." He closed the door and picked up my coat, but he did not hand it to me. "Can you stay a minute?" I sat in the living room. He sat across from me, my coat folded over his knees like a patient animal. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Then Adam said, "I was ashamed." I waited. "Not of you," he added. "Not exactly. Exactly is usually where the truth lives." He nodded. I wanted the wards to think I was finished. Finished with what? Needing people. Being the one who had to come home. Being the guy whose mother kept every receipt from his worst year. I don't have the receipts. You know what I mean. Yes. He ran one hand along the sleeve of my coat. When Celia asked about the welcome, I thought you'd tell one of those stories and everybody would see me the way you do. How do I see you? As somebody I got through. The sentence settled between us. I thought of meals delivered to his apartment, Daniel helping him appeal financial aid, June driving the car with screaming brakes. I had remembered those acts as proof of love. Adam had remembered them as proof that he had once failed to carry himself. "Sometimes I have seen you that way," I said. His eyes lifted. "It made me feel necessary," I continued. Necessary felt safer than loved. He looked down at my coat again. "I used the wedding to prove you were necessary," he said. "Then when you stopped, I blamed you because I didn't want to admit how much I expected." I said nothing. "I lied to Celia because I knew she would make me talk to you. I told June you were overreacting. I told everyone you stepped back because it was easier than saying I cut you out and still wanted all your work." His voice did not shake. There was no performance in it. "I'm sorry," he said. "Not that the wedding got stressful, not that you were hurt. I'm sorry I treated you like something I could edit. I'm sorry I made your love embarrassing when the embarrassing part was how entitled I felt to it." I looked toward the hallway. A wedding photograph hung on the wall, one of Adam and Celia under the cedar arch. "Thank you," I said. He waited, perhaps for forgiveness. I did not offer it yet. He nodded as if he understood. "I'm sorry too," I said. "I should have told you years ago when helping became too much. I shouldn't have kept giving and then expected the weight of it to make you grateful. You did tell me sometimes. I told you after the work, when saying no could only look ungrateful. That sounds familiar. It should." A small smile passed between us and disappeared. He stood. "There's something in the garage." The arch rested along the far wall beneath 2 bicycles and a coil of orange extension cord. Adam had removed the flower ties but left the cream sign hanging from one post. "Vintage family find." "I kept that to remind myself," he said. "Of Elaine's writing?" "Of mine. You said she wrote it." "She did." I gave her the description. I looked at him. "I know." Pencil marks crossed the lower posts. A tape measure and handsaw lay nearby, but the wood had not been cut. "What are you doing?" I thought I could turn it into a bench, put it near the dining room, use the crossbeam for the back. My first reaction was refusal. Daniel had built an arch. Cutting it would end that. Adam must have seen my face. "That's why I stopped," he said. "It's yours. You asked to keep it. I didn't ask to change it." I crouched beside the pencil marks. His plan was rough but possible. The initials would remain beneath the back rail, still hidden unless someone knew to look. "Why a bench?" "So it isn't decoration," he said. "So people sit on it." I ran my thumb over the pale crescent left by the sander. If you do it, leave this. The damage, the chapter. He smiled. Then he asked, "Do you still have the welcome you wrote?" "Yes." "Could I hear it sometime?" I stood and brushed sawdust from my hands. "Not yet," I said. Adam nodded. For once he did not ask what he had to do to change the answer. The bench took 3 Sundays and 1 argument to build. Adam called before the first Sunday. "The crossbeam has a split near the end," he said. "I know. If I cut below it, the back will be too low." "Yes." "What should I do?" I held the phone away from my ear and looked at it. "Are you asking for advice?" "Yes." "Not asking me to come fix it?" "No." "Not hoping I'll hear panic in your voice and volunteer?" His silence lasted just long enough to be honest. "I would like advice," he said. "If the advice requires you to see it, I would like you to come see it." "That's better." "I feel like I'm talking to a hostage negotiator." "You called me." He made coffee before I arrived. The arch lay across 2 sawhorses in his garage. He had removed the cream sign and dropped it into a recycling bin. One corner stuck out beneath a cardboard box. I did not mention it. The pencil marks from his first plan had been erased and redrawn. Daniel's hand plane rested on a clean towel. Adam had bought a new saw, clamps, screws, and enough sandpaper to remove the exterior of the house. "You could brace the split instead of cutting below it," I said. "Will that hold? If you do it correctly?" He looked at me. "Yes," I added. "I'll show you." I demonstrated on a scrap piece, then handed him the drill. He positioned the brace wrong. I watched. He repositioned it wrong in the opposite direction. I kept watching. "You can say something," he told me. "You asked me to show you. I showed you. You're enjoying this." "A little." He tried again. The drill slipped. The screw entered at an angle, biting into the cedar before stopping halfway. Damn it. His hand moved toward the saw as if the entire section had offended him. "Don't throw away the piece," I said. He stopped. The old story rose between us without my telling it. Daniel beside a crooked joint. Adam at 19, angry enough to destroy whatever had failed on the first attempt. Adam looked at the screw. "Did Dad do this?" he asked. "Do you want the story?" He glanced at me. I asked. "Yes." He put 3 screws through the first crosspiece before remembering he hadn't measured the other side. Then he blamed the level. Was it the level? No. What did he do? He corrected the joint. "That's all?" He said several things I did not repeat when you were 19. Adam smiled. We backed out the crooked screw and tried again. Celia brought sandwiches to the garage at noon. She set them on the workbench and did not ask whether we were getting along. "How's the family find?" she said. Adam looked toward the recycling bin. "Becoming a bench," he said. "Is that history or furniture?" "Both." She kissed the side of his head, took her own sandwich, and went back inside. On the second Sunday, June appeared with safety goggles and no intention of helping. "I came to observe," she said. "We are not a museum," Adam told her. "I heard there would be mistakes. Mom invited you, didn't she?" "No," I said. "You don't control everything anymore," June told him. "I never controlled everything." June and I looked at each other. Adam pointed the drill at us. "This is why I don't host." "You hosted chicken," Ray said from the driveway. None of us had heard him arrive. He carried a 6-pack in one hand and a folding chair in the other. "Why did you bring a chair?" Adam asked. "Pauline's influence." Ray sat in the driveway and offered criticism until Adam put him to work sanding one of the legs. They argued about grain direction, Daniel's tools, and whether the bench needed arms. They did not argue about the funeral. That subject remained between them, but it no longer required me to carry messages across it. We finished the frame on the third Sunday. Adam used the original crossbeam as the back, preserving the gouge near one end. The initials remained underneath. D+A. He ran his fingers over them before we turned the bench upright. "You could add yours," he said. "No. Why? I didn't build the arch. You helped build this. I don't need my name on everything I helped." His face suggested he had heard the extra meaning. I let him. "The bench was not perfect. One leg sat a fraction higher, and the seat creaked when Ray lowered himself onto it. "That's not the bench," Adam said. "That's you. History will decide." Adam and Celia placed it against the wall beside their dining room, where people could sit while removing shoes or waiting for someone to finish cooking. The pale crescent stayed visible. Daniel's initials did not. I liked that. Some things could be honored without being displayed to strangers. Sunday dinners never returned to my house as a standing appointment. June hosted the first Sunday of every month, usually with takeout and increasingly elaborate explanations for why paper plates were superior. Adam and Celia took another Sunday. Ray invited us wherever the television was largest. Pauline attended according to the chairs. I cooked when I wanted to. The first time I made a roast only for myself, I felt abandoned by people I had not invited. I nearly called June and pretended I needed help with a light fixture. Instead, I froze 3 portions and watched an old movie. The loneliness passed. It also returned sometimes. A boundary did not turn an empty house into a reward. It simply made the emptiness honest. Adam began calling without requests. At first, the conversations were so awkward they felt like customer service checks. "What are you doing?" he would ask. "Reading." "What?" "A book." "Is it good?" "I haven't reached the end." Then he would tell me the traffic was bad or that Celia had bought a lamp he disliked. 10 minutes later, we would hang up without anyone receiving an assignment. Once he called to ask how long chicken should roast. "That sounds like a request," I said. "It is." "I'm asking before the smoke alarm." I gave him the temperature and time. "Anything else?" he asked. "Use a thermometer." "What temperature?" I told him. "Thank you." "You're welcome." No history, no invoice, just dinner. He apologized to June without turning it into a family announcement. I learned because she stopped making pointed remarks about wedding boxes every time someone mentioned glass jars. He spoke with Ray every few weeks. Their conversations did not make them close, but they gave each other fewer opportunities to invent what the other man thought. Celia came to my house openly. Sometimes Adam came with her. Sometimes he didn't. She and I did not become allies against him. We disagreed too often for that. She believed I overcooked vegetables. I believed she put vinegar where lemon belonged. She also told me when I was explaining Adam to himself. One afternoon, he complained about a problem at work, and I said, "You've always hated asking for help because—" He held up one hand. "Do you want to tell me who I am, or do you want to ask?" I disliked the question. It was also fair. "Are you having trouble asking for help?" I asked. "Yes," he said. That answer gave us somewhere to go. The first draft of the wedding album arrived in early spring. Adam brought several loose pages to my house in a wide white envelope. "I want you to check the captions," he said. I almost refused. Checking captions sounded suspiciously like free work disguised as respect. Then he added, "Only if you want to." I opened the envelope. The picture of Daniel's hand plane had been labeled Groom's Family Heirloom. "Too vague?" Adam asked. "Yes." "What should it say?" "Hand plane belonging to Daniel Price." Adam wrote it down. The biscuit photograph said Adam and Celia's autumn favorite. He crossed that out before I could speak. "Your mother's recipe?" he asked. "My mother adapted it from her sister, who stole it from a neighbor." He put down his pen. "How much of that belongs in a caption?" "Spice biscuits from Mara's family recipe. Short. I can learn." The photograph of the arch stopped me. The caption read, "Cedar Arch built by Daniel and Adam Price, restored by Mara Price for the wedding of Adam Price and Celia Ward." Adam watched my face. "You named everyone," I said. It took one sentence. "Pauline timed it?" she offered. I turned the page. There was a photograph of Frank giving his welcome. Glass raised. The caption identified him and quoted only the words, "welcoming Adam into the Ward family." No one had added my speech as if I had given it. No one had rearranged the wedding afterward to make the absence disappear. "Thank you," I said. "For what?" "For not correcting what happened. I thought about putting your welcome in the album." I'm glad you didn't. It wasn't part of the wedding. No. He tapped his pen against the envelope. Do you still not want me to hear it? I didn't say I never wanted you to hear it. You said not yet. Yes. He waited. You're improving, I told him. He gave me a look that was half annoyed and half pleased. I corrected 4 more captions. Then I put the pages back into the envelope and handed them to him. Do you want the photograph Elaine sent? I asked. The one under the arch? Yes. I have it. Of course you do. He stood to leave. At the door, he said, We're having everyone over next Sunday. Frank and Elaine too. Celia wants to use the blue bowl. For what? Rolls. The bowl is cracked. So is the bench. That isn't how serving dishes work. Will it hold rolls? Yes. Then she wants it there. I looked toward the china cabinet. Not what you put in it, Adam added. Just the bowl. I heard the care and the distinction. All right, I said. The dinner was smaller than the wedding welcome and louder than it needed to be. Elaine brought salad in a container with a locking lid. Frank arrived with 2 bottles of wine and no speech. June brought bakery rolls, which Celia placed in the blue bowl herself. Ray and Pauline did not attend. Ray had plans he refused to describe, and Pauline had examined a photograph of the bench and declared the back insufficiently supportive. Adam roasted the chicken without burning it. Thermometer, he told me when I checked the skin. I didn't ask. You were thinking. I'm allowed. We ate around the table with the bench along the wall behind us. Daniel's arch had become something people leaned against while talking. Frank sat on it to open the second bottle of wine. Elaine put her purse on one end. June used it to retie her shoe. Nobody treated it like a monument. That would have pleased Daniel most. After dinner, Elaine and Frank left first. June followed, taking a container of chicken and claiming it was compensation for the wedding errands. Adam carried plates into the kitchen. Celia picked up the blue bowl, now empty except for crumbs. I'll wash that by hand, I said. You are a guest. It was my mother's. So tell me what to do. Warm water, not hot. No dishwasher. No oil. That is for glue. She smiled and filled the sink. I stood beside her with a towel while she washed. The crack darkened under the water, but held. You never finished welcoming me, she said. I looked toward the dining room. Adam was there, gathering glasses from the table. He could hear us if he chose to listen. I welcomed you at the fitting. You gave me the short version. You complained about it. I did. I took the wet bowl from her and dried the rim carefully. The speech I wrote was about this bowl, I said. About my mother serving strangers before they could offer to help. I remember. I thought I was telling you that you would always have a place with us. But I was also telling you how to recognize the place. The table, the food, the work, the stories. I was making the welcome depend on my way of giving it. Celia leaned against the counter. You are welcome with me, I said. Not because you married Adam. Not because you agreed with me when he was wrong. Not because you brought flowers, read my speech, or helped repair anything between us. Her eyes filled. You are welcome because you came back honestly, I continued, and because when this family became difficult, you did not pretend it wasn't. That is the welcome I mean now. Celia pressed her lips together. That was still short, she said. I cut the line about the toaster. She laughed and hugged me. Over her shoulder, I saw Adam standing in the kitchen doorway with 2 glasses in his hands. He did not interrupt. He did not explain what I meant or ask whether any part of it was about him. When Celia released me, he set the glasses beside the sink. Was that the speech? He asked. No. Better or worse? Different. He nodded. I wrapped the blue bowl in the towel to carry home. As I lifted it, Adam said, You never told Celia about the bird. That is not the bowl story. It happened in the bowl. It was a separate event. Celia looked between us. What bird? Adam pulled out a chair. Sit down, he said. Apparently there's a subplot. I looked at my son. This time he was asking. So I set the bowl on the table and began.